cover tonight. And we got this streaming. Our live stream is going. Perfect. All right, let me minimize this, get this out of my way here. And I am able to see, hear, and everyone can hear me. Perfect. All right, so guys, we got a lot to cover, not a whole lot of time. So I want to get things moving. And I want to get a sense of who's in the room right now. So this is definitely going to help if you have your camera on. So I see like Kevin, you got your camera on. I appreciate that, man. Daryl, you got your camera on. Fred, you got your camera on. It helps for me to be able to see some faces. I'm looking over. I have a screen over here to my side, so I can also see who's inside the room. Right. So let me also see who else has got their camera on, because I'm going to be asking you to participate today. All right, perfect. I see Spence's got his camera on. Mackenzie's got a camera on. Miriam, yo, guys, like this is not a recording. Brenda's got her camera on. What's up, Brenda? Right, like guys, this is not a recording. I can actually see you. I'm hanging out inside your room and inside your house with you right now. So if you got your camera on, I will be asking you to participate. If you don't have your camera on, I'm still going to be asking you to participate via the chat, because what I want you to do is we're going to be spending the next 90 minutes or so together. And I'm going to be giving you 100% of what I have to share tonight. So what do you think I expect from y'all? Right, I'm going to be expecting you to give 100%, because tonight I made up my mind that I was going to have fun whether you do or not. So Fred, that means I'm going to have a good time tonight. All right. So like I said, I got a lot to teach, not a whole lot of time. So let me start by asking a very simple question. By a show of hands, how many of you are here tonight to change your financial situation? Either raise your hand or drop a 1 in the chat if you're here to change your financial situation. All right, cool. So that looks like right now it's like all but 2 of you. Right. So if you're not here to change your financial situation, I really don't know what you're doing here, and you can exit at any time. And I know some of you guys are thinking like, damn, like Marlon's already kicking me out. It hasn't even been 2 minutes. Like he hasn't even been talking for 2 minutes and he's already kicking me out. Like, no, I'm not kicking you out. But what I want you to do is I want to get you to start thinking about changing your situation immediately. Because you know, if I say this and like you guys fill it in the chat or someone unmute themselves, if I start the sentence, I want you to finish it. Time is, somebody finish that for me. Time is what?
The essence.
Money. Time is money.
Time is everything.
Oh, who said everything? Like, yo, that's where we're at. Time is everything. Right. So, you know, we've been told one of the biggest lies of our life, and we bought it, which is time is money. Time is not money, because I can guess that most of us at some point that we've maybe lost somebody very special to us. Could have been a friend, could have been a family member. Right. And maybe you were there with them in their final moments. And I can guarantee you that none of them ever said, I wish I had more money. What do they say? They say, I wish I had more time. Time is infinitely way more valuable than money. So we need to start thinking and changing the way we think about our most valuable asset. So from now on, what I want us to do is we're no longer going to think that time is money. So the next time you hear somebody say the phrase time is, I want you to respond with one word. And that word is everything. In fact, let's practice it right now. Time is everything. Yo, so hopefully you heard that. I actually heard Daryl outside scream, time is everything. Because knowing that time is everything, the question is, how have you been investing your time? See, too often we spend our time going after things that we don't really want so that we can impress people that we don't really like, only to realize that all we did was we lost time that we can never get back. Right? Tonight, I want to share with you what I learned from my very first mentor, which allowed me to begin living my life on purpose. So we're going to be going through quite a few things. So let me actually lay out a roadmap for you here. I'm going to share my screen. Also, you guys are going to see, I'm going to be looking back and forth. I have a couple of screens in front of me because I want to be able to see everyone's face. Like I like being able to see Fred. I like seeing Brenda. I like seeing Caroline and Ingrid and Elena. And like I like seeing the faces on here. So you guys are going to see me looking around. All right. So I'm going to share my screen for a moment. You guys see this screen here? Perfect.
Yep.
All right, cool. We're going to go into a little bit of a presentation because I'm going to lay out this roadmap here. So this is what we're going to be doing tonight. Tonight, we're going to be talking through some things about, I'm going to share with you, really. I'm going to share with you what success means and why it's important. I'm going to share with you the importance of having a burning desire. I'm going to share with you how to cultivate a positive mindset. Then I'm going to share with you how to reprogram your subconscious mind. From there, I'm going to break down the importance of specialized knowledge. We're going to talk about imagination, how it's one of the most powerful tools that you have available to you, and continuing this success journey. And then at the end of that, we're going to wrap it together with a Q&A. Now, when I do this presentation, normally I have a lot more topics where we talk about the importance of having a clear plan for achieving your goal, the role of decisiveness in action taking, the critical importance of persistence in achieving success, and the benefits of collaborating with like-minded individuals. But we're not going to get a chance to go into all of that tonight because we are on a tight schedule. Even with that being the case, I still have a lot to give and plenty to cover over the next 90 minutes with you. So I'm going to be asking you to take good notes. So have a notebook ready because you retain so much more information when you take good notes. In fact, take a look at this. This is essentially how information gets broken down. When we look at this, right? When you listen to a lecture, you're taking in about 5% of information. So that's you just sitting by on the side and just listening. You're taking in about 5%. When you read something, like you're looking at the screen right now and you're reading what's on the screen, you take in about 20%. When it's audio and visual, this is why I have a presentation. This is why I have a PowerPoint. You're absorbing more information. You're seeing, you're hearing, you're listening. 35%. When you start to demonstrate, right? Listen to this. When you start to demonstrate, you actually retain more information. So tonight, as you learn something new, go and teach it, Mackenzie. Teach it to your family. Teach it to your friends, right? Then when you have a discussion, you know, when I do this in person with people, I actually put them in circle tables so that they can talk amongst each other because it helps you retain more information. And when you practice doing, you raise it to 80%, and 95% is when you actually go out and intentionally teach others. So tonight, as you're learning, this is going to be what I ask you to do. I'm going to ask you to pretend that at the end of tonight's presentation, you need to go and teach what you learned to someone else. As you're taking notes, take notes as if you needed to give these notes to your partner who couldn't be here tonight. All right, does that sound fair to everybody? Awesome. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna keep moving now. And if you're wondering who I am, if you don't know who I am and you're wondering why I get to speak in front of you tonight, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Marlon Johnson. And the reason that I get to share this information is because I was a good student. Right? It's the same information that changed my life, taking me from earning $20,000 per year, living at home in my mom's house, to being able to own over $2.5 million of real estate in the last 24 months. I've been studying and teaching this information for a decade now, and I get to teach it. I get to like really brag about this information for one reason. One, I didn't come up with it, right? That's why I get to brag about it. But now I also get to teach it to other people as well. So this information was taught to me by my first mentor, who learned it from his first mentor, who learned it from his first mentor. And this line goes all the way back to Napoleon Hill and Andrew Carnegie. So we're talking about the science of success. And this has helped millions of people improve their lives personally, professionally, and financially. So for those of you that don't know who Napoleon Hill or Andrew Carnegie are, you should Google them later. Andrew Carnegie was the inspiration for Napoleon Hill's most famous life works, The Laws of Success, and his book that you might have heard of, Think and Grow Rich. Two books that give an absolute working manual on how anybody can become rich and successful. So Andrew Carnegie, look at this, was one of the wealthiest men alive during his time. He accumulated a net worth of over $480 million. By today's calculations, that would be close to $310 billion. That would make him richer than Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos combined. So Carnegie was originally a poor Scottish immigrant who amassed the largest fortune that America had ever seen. And his belief was that anybody can do this simply if they learned how to live by the rules of success. So Carnegie tasked Napoleon Hill, while Napoleon was still a young man, with the duty of creating a manuscript of success so that anybody who would follow it would inevitably become rich. And all Carnegie did in way of making this happen was he planted the idea in young Napoleon's mind, and he introduced Hill to 500 of the world's most successful people across all industries. So he'll spend the next 20 years of his life learning what the golden thread was that ran between all of these individuals. And that's what we're reviewing tonight. That's why you're hanging out here tonight. That's why, although you could have been anywhere doing anything, you chose to come on here tonight. Now, this has been material that I've been studying for the last 10 years. I've been living by this material for the last 10 years. So please do not think, Mackenzie, that you're going to wake up tomorrow and be a cajillionaire, right? It's not going to work that way. Real wealth takes time. And I'm going to show you how to start living in a way that can not only produce wealth, but it can create a life that you've only ever dreamed of. Now, before we get back into it, I want to ask a very simple question. By a show of hands, how many of you guys think that I have something to sell you here tonight? Like, raise your hand if you think I got something to sell you, or drop a 1 in the chat. I love it. Caroline's got her hand up. Caroline's the only one that's got her hand up. And then a couple of you put a 1. So one person put a 1 in the chat. So for the people that dropped a 1, like Sam's saying, like 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Yo, for the people that dropped the 1, I'm not going to disappoint you. I do have something to sell you tonight. No joke. And that's something that I do is I coach, right? I support people with changing their life, their mindset, and their financial situation. However, that's going to be something that we could talk about later tonight. For now, what I want you to do is I want you to take out a clean sheet of paper, because we need to start with our first section, which is defining success. So let me move this slide over. So in order for us to have a conversation, we first need to make sure that we're all on the same place, and we're all, I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a second. We need to make sure that we're all in the same place and we're having the same conversation here. So let me ask you a question, and I'm going to want some answers from you guys. So I'm going to want some participation here. What is success? Either throw an answer in the chat or raise your hand. I want to know, what is success? What is your definition of success? And this is what I'm going to ask. If I unmute you and ask you to share your definition, give it to me in 10 seconds or less. Give me like the 10-second answer of what is success. So who's got an answer for me? Right? I see some answers in the chat right now. I'm loving it. Let me actually move my chat over here. I'm seeing financial freedom. I'm seeing true happiness. I'm seeing freedom of time. I see replace my W-2 income and debt from personal financing, accomplishing your purpose. Oh my gosh, I love these answers. Being able to provide for my loved ones without worry. Balanced work life. Guys, first off, I love that you're all participating. I love that you're dropping answers inside here, right? Setting goals and achieving them. Gabrielle, that is a solid freaking answer. So these answers are all great, right? And all of your answers are correct, by the way. And what I want you to see is how many different answers there are. This shows you that when we're communicating, sometimes we think we're saying one thing, but everyone just gave a different definition. So for the sake of us being on the same page tonight and us having the same conversation, I'm going to share with you a definition of success by Earl Nightingale. I want you to write this down word for word. Success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. Success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. I'm not going to go too fast for anyone. If I see pens moving, I will keep saying it. Success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. A school teacher that's a school teacher because they wanted to be a school teacher is a success. The barber who cuts hair because that's what he loves to do, that barber is a success. If a man or a woman is working towards a predetermined goal and they know where they're going, that man or a woman is a success. If he is not doing that, he is a failure. So you're either moving towards your goals or you're moving away from them. And if you're moving towards your goals, regardless of speed, you are a success. It's imperative that you understand this, because in order to be a winner, you must be a winner. Oprah Winfrey could be said to fit Earl's definition of success. See, in Oprah's life, Oprah overcame significant challenges. She rose to become one of the most successful and influential media personalities in the world. And through her work, she empowered and inspired millions around the globe. In fact, Oprah was quoted saying this back in May of 2017. She said, real success is being able to do what you love and make a living at it. Right? In that quote, Oprah's emphasizing the importance of finding fulfillment and meaning in one's work, making a living doing it. So this aligns with Nightingale's definition of success about pursuing a worthy goal or ideal. And this pursuit can bring a sense of satisfaction and purpose in one's life. So again, let's make sure that we're all on the same page. Success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. So we all got that? Let me, I want to see where you guys are. Let me share my screen here for a second. So we want to understand that definition of success. See, I was fortunate enough that, like I said, I was living home with my mom. Look at my beautiful mom, right? Shout out Mama Johnson. To the place where I got clear on I wanted to produce more out of my life. And this was me actually signing this wasn't my first deal, but this was the first time I got to sign actual papers in person to be able to get to that point of owning what I want to own, living where I want to live, doing what I want to do, traveling the way I want to travel. But understand that this was a desire. It was purposeful. I knew where I wanted to be. I knew where I wanted to go, right? You guys know my name's Mindset Marlon, right? Like I get to do the thing that I absolutely love. I get to talk about the thing I love. So that's success. It's moving in that direction. So now that we're all on the same page about success, and I'm just going to make sure everyone's in the room because I see some people in the waiting room. So Daryl, if you could get those people, I appreciate you, Daryl. Appreciate that, bro. So now that we're all on the same page, let's identify some misconceptions about what success is, and really let's identify some misconceptions about success which really lead to failure. So knowing which way not to go can sometimes be just as important as knowing which way to go. I always find it interesting, Ingrid, when people only want to learn about the upside and not consider the downside. That doesn't make you positive, it makes you ignorant, right? Life is both positive and negative. It's light and dark. You can't have one without the other. So we need to know about both sides, and it's equally important to learn what not to do as it is to learn what to do. So there are 7 common misconceptions about success. Now, due to time tonight, we're only going to be able to talk about 2 of them. But don't worry, for anyone that, if you guys want like the entire list, I will email you a copy later if you're interested in that. I will, like anyone that's interested in that will get it later. But the first misconception of success is that success is solely the result of hard work. Right? The first misconception is success is solely the result of hard work. See, hard work is important. Success often involves other factors such as luck, timing, and opportunity. Many of you know this. Many of you were in real estate last year and the market was something totally different. Now it's a different opportunity that you have to capitalize on. Wait, technology changes, opportunities change. Let me explain. For example, let's say you want to see the sunrise and you're down in Florida. So every day you're getting out to the beach, Ebony, at 10 a.m. in the morning, right? And you're there to see sunrise. It doesn't matter if you drive to the beach. It doesn't matter if you run to the beach, if you bike to the beach. Hell, you could bear crawl to the beach. You can work harder at getting to the beach. But if you keep showing up at 10 a.m., you're not catching sunrise, right? The timing is off. Or let's say, for example, that you're in Texas. And while you're in Texas, you're trying to get to California. If you start moving east, it doesn't matter how fast you run. It doesn't matter if you get into a car, if you get into a plane, you're simply off axis. You're moving in the wrong direction. So we want to understand that it's important that we be moving in the right direction, that we're applying intelligent work, not just hard work. So some of you have said you wanted to build a business, but you keep saying that you'll do it next year, right? Your timing's off. That you want to build stronger legs, but you keep working out your chest. You're doing the wrong thing. That you want to become millionaires, but you spend the strong waking hours working on someone else's small vision. Don't get me wrong. Hard work is absolutely essential. It's just not the only thing that matters. Write this down. There's nothing so useless as doing efficiently that which should not be done at all. There's nothing so useless as doing efficiently that which should not be done at all. There's nothing so useless as doing efficiently that which should not be done at all. Like I said, I'm never going to go too fast for you guys. I know some of you didn't start writing till the second time you heard me say it. I know some of you write slower than others. So there's nothing so useless as doing efficiently that which should not be done at all. So some of you need to look at your situation, and instead of making a to-do list, you need to make a not to-do list. There are some activities that are no longer serving you and they need to go. So the second misconception here that we're looking at is that success is measured only by wealth and status, right? This is a narrow view of success. Yes, it's important to consider other factors such as personal fulfillment, happiness, and well-being. So if all that mattered were the amount of money you had in your bank account, then all millionaires would be the happiest people on earth and all poor people would never have a reason to smile. However, we know that's not true. So we can't ignore the importance of wealth, right? So too often I hear that people say money isn't the only thing that matters. And although that statement is true, often it's a statement that's brought up unprovoked. If when the topic of money and happiness come up in the same conversation, you find yourself saying things like money is not the only thing that matters, you need to check your relationship with wealth and with money. Put a 1 in the chat if you've ever been that person that when people started talking about money, you had to say money is not the only thing that matters. Or whenever you start to talk about how much money you want to earn, you immediately go into justification mode, right? When someone says like, hey, how much do you want to make? And you say, oh, well, I want to make $1 million, but it's not that I only care about money. And like you immediately begin to defend your position on the amount of money you want to make. Inherently, you're telling me that you think there's something wrong with making money. Because if I say, what do you want to eat for dinner? You don't defend, hey, I want to get pizza tonight. You don't say, I want to get pizza, but it's all right. Pizza's actually really good. It supports the economy. And, you're not so greedy if you want to get 2 slices instead of just 1 slice. You would never do that. But we do that with money. And if we don't check our relationship with money, what you're going to find is it can be very destructive. See, what I find to be more destructive than a person who abuses wealth is a person who is a slave to money. And let me explain. See, sometimes people think when I say a slave to money, they imagine the person who's always shopping and spending. Well, I see some friends in here that have known me for a long time. Like, what up, Spence? Like, I see people have known me since I was a little kid, right? And I didn't spend a lot of money. I wasn't a spender, but I definitely was a slave to money because I didn't have it. See, I would think about it all the time. Growing up, my parents would tell me things like, we can't afford those luxuries. Real quick, let me know how many, put a 1 in the chat if you had these sort of parents, right? They would say, we can't afford luxuries, right? Or we need to save that for a rainy day. Or things like, we only buy the things we need, not the things we want, right? They made me feel like money was scarce, that it was hard to come across. So what would happen when I would get money? What would I do? I would hide it. I would put it away. I would go and trade more of my time to get it. I was always thinking about it. Really, I was always worried that it would run out, that it wasn't safe enough, that eventually something or someone would take it from me. So I was afraid of losing it, and I did anything for it. Kind of like a young boy afraid of losing his first girlfriend, right? I was whipped. And what do you call a person that gets whipped? And not the sort of whipping that y'all do in your bedrooms. That's between you and whomever. I'm talking about the other person that gets whipped, right? That person is a slave, right? So recognize that money makes for a terrible master, but it makes for an excellent servant. So wealth is a part of success. And I do cover that in some of the other talks I've done. Like I've done a full seminar on the science of getting rich. And when I do coaching with people, what we do is we look at rewiring your financial blueprint. But what's important here is that we understand that it's not about how much money you have. It's about what you do with the money you have. Write that down. It's not about how much you have, right? More money does not solve your money problems. I know when we don't have a lot of money, it feels like, no, Marlon, I really think some money would solve these money problems. I know, but I'm promising you, money does not solve your money problems. It's not about how much you have. It's about what you do with the money you have. So when you begin to measure your wealth based on what it allows you to do, then you will start to see a change. You'll start to become more successful. Look at the money as a tool. So now that we're all on the same page and we've got a working definition of success, I want to talk to you about desire, right? More specifically, having a burning desire for success. See, Napoleon Hill described a burning desire as a powerful, passionate, and all-consuming desire to achieve a specific goal or objective. He believed that a burning desire is the starting point for all achievement and that it was the key to unlocking one's full potential. Those words, they're not empty words. Listen to that word, all-consuming. What does that mean? It means, Kevin, we've got to be willing to give anything to make it happen. Ask yourself, are you willing to sacrifice for the things that you desire? You guys see on your screen right now, it should show, everyone should see a photo, and you all probably know who that man is. Even if you've never watched basketball, you probably know who he is, because that man was willing to give what was needed to be given in order to become the best. He had an all-consuming desire. So your better life, I want to ask you this. Is your better life a preference for you, or is it a must? See, because everybody would prefer to be healthier, wealthier, wiser, better looking. Like, we would all prefer these things. In fact, it'd be pretty hard to walk down the street, Tim, and ask someone like, hey, do you want more money? And to find someone who's going to say, nah. Hey, do you want to be in better shape? Nah. Hey, do you want more love from your family and friends and more respect at work and to have a more fulfilling life? It's going to be really hard to find a person who doesn't prefer to have those things. But their goals will never be accomplished until they can make them a must. Right now, their dream life is simply, it's just a preference. They would prefer it, but they're not willing to make it happen. So the difference is when a must is there, a must gets done. My parents out there know that. When your kid must go to the doctor, when they must get the surgery, you figure it out. You find a way to make it happen. Right? How many of you have kids? Anyone have kids inside here? Right? So we got a couple parents inside the room. What's cool? Does anyone think they have the most amount of kids? Like, who has a lot of kids? I know some of you are like, yo, if I got one kid, I got too many. Ingrid said they got just teenagers. Jerry Norton does have a lot of kids. 5, holy, wow. All right, so Elena, you got 5 kids. Okay, cool. So let me ask, does anyone have more than 5 kids? No one has more than 5 kids? Okay, so Alina, let me ask you a question. Could you unmute yourself for a second? Did you unmute yourself? All right, I think she might not be able to unmute herself. I want to ask a question though. I really want to know, with 5 kids, how do you take care of all 5 kids? If you could like throw your answer in the chat. Oh, it says you can't. Let me see. Somehow you, here, raise your hand so you pop up to the top of the screen. I have to unmute her. All right, there we go. All right. Am I saying your name right, by the way? Is it Alina?
Elena.
Elena.
Close.
So, Elena, how do you raise 5 kids? Like, how do you take care of 5 kids?
I mean, I think what you just said is absolutely perfect. Like, it's a must. There was no option. Like, you just do what you have to do. So every season is different. Every stage that they go through is different. And you just figure it out along the way.
So I love it. So essentially, the answer here is you just do it.
Yep.
You just get it done. Like, ladies and gentlemen, your goals, the things that you want to accomplish, it's going to require tough work. There are going to be days where it feels like you're raising 12 kids and that's your business. There's going to be days where it feels like you're raising 15 kids and that's your dreams. Those are the things that you want to accomplish. And the answer on some days is going to be, you just do it. You just get it done. Right. And when we're able to take ourselves from a place of preference to a place of it must happen, so it will happen, then we're able to grow something really cool. So thank you so much. I appreciate you coming up and sharing that.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
So ask yourself, do you have a wish or do you have a burning desire? How do we know the difference? Well, a burning desire is characterized by 4 key factors. And I want you to write these key factors down because these are going to be the things that you use as a reference point for your goals, for your dreams, for the things that you say you want. So the first is definiteness of purpose. And I'm going to explain what each of these are in a moment, but I just want you to be able to write these down for the people that are listening and maybe who can't see their screen. We've got number 1 is definiteness of purpose. Number 2, we have persistence. Number 3, we have faith. And number 4, we have action. So these are the 4 key factors that we're going to use to differentiate if we have a burning desire or if we just have simply a wish. So the first one is definiteness of purpose. So definiteness of purpose, a burning desire is focused and it's specific. It is not a vague wish or dream, but a clearly defined goal that one is committed to achieving. See, it's not good enough to say, I want a lot of money. You have to be specific. How much money? When do you want the money by? And I would start writing these questions down for yourself. Log these in your head. How much money? When do you want the money by? What do you want in exchange for the money? Right? What are you willing to trade? There's no such reality as something for nothing. What are you willing to trade for the money? What sort of value do you want to give for that money? What will you use the money for once you get it? Remember, money is not the end goal. Money is simply a tool to get you to the next stage. Right? That's why we say money will not solve your money problems. Money is simply a tool. You still have to apply it towards solving something real. How would you like the money to come to you? Right? The more specific you can be, the faster you can make what you desire a reality. See, I had a kid I was coaching, he's out in Denver, Colorado, and he kept saying to me that he wanted to earn more money. So when I asked him how much money, like most people, he didn't actually know. Like he heard that he wanted to earn more money. He knew that bills were constantly coming and he always felt like at the end of the month, there was more bills than there were money. So he just said, I want more money. So before he started working with me, he was in fact making more money each year, right? Each year he was raising how much he was making by a few hundred, a few $1,000s. When I don't really ever care about like the actual dollar amount. I like to look at percentages because when I broke it down to a percentage, and this is what was going on, he felt like he asked for more money, he was getting it. But when we broke it down to a percentage standpoint, what we saw was his income wasn't even increasing by a double-digit percent. So I asked him to explain to me why he wanted more money, like to really sit down and think through what is the money going to actually be used for and to calculate the cost of the new life that he wanted to create. So when he sat and he started to calculate that, he realized, okay, in order to get to the place where he wanted to be, he's a young guy. He's like 19 years old and he wanted to be able to get a new apartment for his girlfriend. He wanted to get some new stuff for his car. He wanted to be able to get some new gear. He wanted to be able to skateboard. Like this is just where his life is at 19. He realized he needed to increase his income by 30%. Well, when he realized that it needed to increase by 30% and he understood why he wanted the money, guess what happened? An idea flashed into his mind, and that idea allowed him to increase his income, not by 30%. It actually increased by over 100%, and it happened in less than 6 months. You have to be specific in what you want. So the second thing is persistence. Persistence, a burning desire is not a passing whim or a temporary enthusiasm. It's a deep-seated and unwavering commitment to achieving one's goals, even in the face of obstacles and setbacks. Write this down. Discipline equals freedom. Discipline equals freedom. This is actually a really cool story I got for you here. One of my housemates, he actually just moved out yesterday, But check this out. I told him I was going to put him inside this in this presentation. One of my housemates, AJ, he got on an airplane. He flew to America from Argentina, leaving his family, friends, and life behind because he knew he wanted to become one of the biggest real estate investors. So although English wasn't his first language, he had very little money, and he actually had nowhere to stay when he first arrived. He had committed himself to a better life, and he had committed himself to his goals. So when he got here, he didn't allow shiny objects or new opportunities to distract him because he had already committed to a dream, to a vision. There's nothing more powerful than a made-up mind. So you got to think about your dreams and your goals as like being in a relationship. Just because a new pretty girl walks down the street, it doesn't mean you leave the love of your life. You keep your eyes on your woman and you keep pouring into her because she is your prize. See, you already have your prize. Your prize is already yours. You just need to take care of it. So AJ came here and he had his eye on the prize. He wants to become the largest real estate investor out here, one of the largest wholesalers. So just a few weeks ago, AJ actually signed a partnership agreement. And I'm not going to say the names yet because it's still coming up, but he signed a partnership agreement with one of the largest auction houses in the US, giving him exclusive rights to sell real estate on their platform, making him and his team one of the largest real estate wholesalers in the US, all in less than a year because he stayed persistent. There's so much power in persistence. There's so much power in focus. There's so much power in coming back and taking your axe and swinging it at the same spot on the tree over and over and over. A lot of times what happens is we're swinging that axe, but we're hitting 15 different spots. Every time we swing the axe, we're hitting a new spot on the tree. Please recognize this. Ebony, understand that if we consistently knock at the same spot, sometimes it feels like nothing's happening because the tree hasn't fallen over yet. But if we keep swinging at the same spot, that tree begins to come down. Now, the next piece is faith, right? A burning desire is accompanied by the belief that one can achieve their goal, even if others doubt them or the circumstances seem to be against them, Kevin. Let me make this as clear as possible. You need to be delusional. I'm being so serious. You need to be delusional. Stop worrying about being realistic and start focusing on increasing your faith in yourself and in your outcome. Remember that before it ever gets done, everybody assumes that it's impossible. It's impossible. Roger Bannister, if you don't know that name, this was the gentleman that was the first man in recorded history to break the 4-minute mile. So he ran a mile in under 4 minutes. Before him, scientists, doctors, everybody said it was impossible. They actually said this was the belief of every human on the planet, that if you ran a mile in under 4 minutes, the stress and the strain that it would put on the body, that it would put on the cardiovascular system, would actually cause the heart to explode. So not only was it impossible, it was life-threatening. You would actually die if you went after this pursuit. Well, Roger Bannister did not believe them. See, here's the interesting thing. You don't accidentally run a 4-minute mile, right? Like that doesn't happen on accident. You had to have seen that. You had to have known what you were doing. You had to have been going forward. And in the past, they even, to break, because they've been trying since the early Olympics, y'all. Like this isn't a new pursuit. Samantha, they actually would release lions to get people thinking like, well, you know, maybe if they're scared for their life, they would run faster. People died trying to break the 4-minute mile, but they were all missing something that Roger had. He had an unwavering belief. He had an unrealistic belief in himself. And here's the cool thing. After he broke that, after he made it possible, it allowed other people to have faith in the possibility as well. Because the very next year, a handful of more people actually broke the 4-minute mile. Within a decade, high school kids were breaking the 4-minute mile. Remember that everyone assumes it's impossible until it gets done. In fact, doing what we're doing right now, being able to video chat with hundreds of people around the world from your bedroom was something that was impossible to everyone but Eric Young, the founder of Zoom. The point is, you need to believe in yourself. So action. A burning desire is not merely a mental state. It's backed by action and effort. One must be willing to take consistent, purposeful action towards their goal in order to turn their burning desire into reality. I can't stress this enough. In fact, if you're in a room with someone, turn to the person beside you, give them a high five, and tell them you got to take action. See, if you're not willing to take action, you don't have a burning desire. I want to be the number one high performance coach on the planet. So I'm always taking action towards that aim. I'm constantly learning better techniques, working with new clients, investing in myself, practicing my delivery, working on my material. I eat, sleep, breathe, and live personal development and achievement. If you want to win, you have to take action.
Take some freaking action. Give me a
Let's
high five.
go. Look at that. Like, yo, that's an action taker. See, action takers don't care if they look silly. So now let's talk about how to develop and maintain a strong desire. All right, let's talk about this. Because this is what a strong desire looks like. Y'all know who this is? If you haven't watched these movies, like clearly I'm just a little too nerdy for y'all, but like that's Thanos right there, y'all. Right? This man, like this was strong desire. He was locked in. So again, there are going to be 7 things that you need to do or really need to know. However, because we are going to be tight on time tonight, because again, I want to share a lot, I'm going to give you 2 that I use daily, right? 2 things that I use daily to develop and maintain a strong desire so that I'm consistently working towards those goals. Because again, guys, when I was getting started and I was building out my real estate rental portfolio and I was building out my holdings, understand that there were days where I did not want to show up and do this. There were days where I did not want to make the phone calls. There were days where I wanted to quit and I wanted to give in. And you all have experienced those days before. I know, Jennifer, you've experienced those days where you're just like, what the absolute F is going on? You have to be able to push through those. And a strong enough desire is how we get there. So first, and this is the most important, really clarify and clearly define your goals, right? Like write that down. The first thing, in order to have a burning desire, in order to really create that strong desire that gets you to that place, because your desire is developed over time. Please don't think that if the burning desire is not instantly there, it starts off as a curiosity. I think people need to know this. That sometimes the thing that becomes a burning desire for you, the thing that's going to become an obsession for you, is going to start off as a simple curiosity. And it will start to grow. That's why I said the word develop, right? We're talking about how to develop and maintain a strong desire. So if you're like, hey, I'm not totally like head over heels on this entrepreneurial endeavor yet, but I am curious. I do keep coming back to it. I do keep watching videos on YouTube. I do keep reading books about it. Okay, that's a start. How can we develop that curiosity into a desire? When Kobe first touched the basketball, you don't ever hear him say like, well, I was completely obsessed from the very moment. But he did say I was curious, right? I started to fall in love. So clearly define your goals. We spoke about this before, and it really is like, there's no accident that I'm saying it again. You can't have a burning desire if you don't know what the object of that desire is. In order to get a clear, specific goal, you have to ask yourself a question that most people don't have the answer for. What do you really want? Tim, what do you really want? Samantha, what do you really want? Miriam, what do you really want? Think about it. What do you really want? When I ask people what do they really want, they do this thing where they start to limit their desires. For example, I have a friend of mine, Sydney, and I say, Sydney, what do you really want out of life? And she begins to answer the question the way most people do. I don't know. Let me be clear. I do not know is not an acceptable answer. I will never allow someone to give me that answer. It's a cop-out and it gets your brain to shut off. See, I don't know is the end. It's a finish line. You finished the race when you say, I don't know. You actually tell your brain, this is the finish. We don't need to continue thinking. So again, I asked Sydney, I said, all right, Sydney, for real, what do you want out of life? You have to know what you want. And she says, well, yeah. And she begins to do the second thing that most people do, which is she starts to give me what she wants, but she starts to give it to me and she starts to answer with limitation. She starts to say, well, like right now I've got to, and this is her legitimate answer, right? Like, so Sydney, if you're watching, I love you. She says, well, right now, I need to finish up my degree, and based on my scholarship, I have to stay and I've got to work in the city for the next 7 years. And then I don't really want a lot. So like, I guess I could just get a small apartment and maybe find a roommate so I can split the rent and so on. And she just like keeps listing this, and I'm watching her. She's just shrinking her desire to fit her limited past and her current situation. How many of us do that? When we start thinking about what we want, we start shrinking what we want. Why do we do that? Don't we know that we can literally draw whatever we want? See, it's interesting. The past can't be undone, and the future is unwritten. It's a blank canvas. But we start painting on this blank canvas of the future with the same image of the past. Don't we know that we can draw whatever we want? Most people are playing a game. They're playing this game of life following a set of rules. And these rules are made up by someone else. If you don't like where you are, create new rules and create a new life. That's what my mentor showed me how to do. Because I was a good student, I now get to show that to other people. So what I want you all to do tonight, sit down and ask yourself, what do I really want? In fact, I want you to play a game. If you have a partner at home, you're going to play a game. Now, you're not going to do this right now, but you're going to do this later tonight. One person is going to be the asker, and the other person is going to be the answerer. And the role of the asker is to ask one question and one question only. That question is, what do you want? Now, the role of the answerer is very simple. They're going to answer with the first thing that comes to their mind. So this might be you in this case. Like if you're playing the game, if you bring it up, I suggest you be the answerer first. So you're going to answer with the first thing that comes to your mind. So for example, someone may ask, what do you want? And your first response might be pizza, right? Now, they're not the comment on your response. They're not going to tell you, okay, well, you can order Domino's, you get Papa John's. Like, we're not having a discussion, right? What they're going to do in a very non-judgmental way, they're going to ask you the second question, which is, what do you want? And you're going to answer with the next thing that comes to your mind. And you're going to do this for about 10 to 20 minutes before you switch roles. And what you're going to start to do is you're going to start to train your mind to accept that you do have desires. You're going to start to train your mind to relax and allow those desires to float to the surface without feeling a sense of shame or a sense of judgment. See, a lot of us are really good at giving. We suck at receiving, right? Being good at giving and bad at receiving is like trying to live your life by only ever exhaling, right? Like, how long will you make it if you only ever just pushed air out? You only ever breathed out and you never took air back in. And also know that some of your first answers, they're probably going to be silly, and that's cool, right? Like, you're going to like to say some weird stuff, but it's all right. You're going to start to, as you go through it and as you start to relax, you're going to start to discover that you have some latent desires inside. So a really, really fun game. I highly recommend it. Now, the second thing that you want to do is you're going to visualize your goals. Right? Many of you have heard about this. Visualization is a powerful tool for developing and maintaining a strong desire. See, a lot of people don't realize like this is a part of how you develop that desire. Think of when you were a little kid rolling up on Christmas, Fred. Right? When you were in elementary school and Christmas was coming around, you couldn't help but see yourself unwrapping those gifts. Right? You couldn't help but see, oh my gosh, it's going to be so excited. Like, we're getting out of school. We're going to have a snow day. We're going to have, like, you're just so excited about it. And you kept seeing it over and over and over in your head before it even got there. That was a burning desire staying within you. That excitement continued to build up. So, Jennifer, when you start to see yourself achieving your goal in vivid detail, using all your senses to create a mental picture of success, some interesting things start happening. See, the interesting thing about the mind and the way it works is the mind cannot differentiate between what is real and what is vividly imagined. See, visualization, or even better, virtualization, is a technique used by hyper performers between all walks of life, from Fortune 500 CEOs to professional athletes. See, we all understand that the ability to see our goals as already accomplished is necessary. It's a necessary activity in order to keep the dream alive until it can be held in our physical hands. So write this down. If you can see it in your mind, you can hold it in your hand. If you can see it in your mind, you can hold it in your hand. Now, here's a tip to help you with being able to visualize. You want to get your 5 senses involved in visualizing your dream outcome. What are our 5 senses? All right, we've got smell, we got taste, we got touch, we got hearing, and we've got sight. Right, those are our 5 senses. Let's get them involved. See, in this day and age, we have virtual reality, and it's becoming more and more mainstream, and we're getting impressed with the ability to put on a pair of goggles, so our sight, and put on some headphones, our hearing, so we get 2 of those senses involved, and what begins to happen? We're whisked away into a new world, right? Like, anyone ever wear any virtual reality headsets yet? Has anyone played with it? If you haven't, they are wicked fun. In fact, I was, it doesn't take a long time. It takes like 30 seconds before you're like moved into that new reality. A couple of years ago, actually, I did this VR game in New York City where you're walking across a plank of wood, right? And that plank of wood is suspended like 100 stories up on the edge of a skyscraper. Now, you guys know this is up my alley because I'm a parkour guy. Like, I used to be a professional parkour athlete. So I'm all about the edge of rooftops and all that good stuff. And I'm like, man, like, this ain't going to be nothing. Like, you literally look at the plank of wood on the floor in the room before they put the goggles on. Like, you're literally standing 3 inches off the ground. But lo and behold, put the headphones on, put the goggles on, and within 30 seconds, I was on top of a building. And here's the craziest part. My mind couldn't help but feel that it was real, right? I could actually begin to feel my balance starting to waver a little bit as if I were really up there. I can actually feel my heart rate elevating. Here's the coolest thing, Kevin. I actually started to feel wind that wasn't even there. Like, I actually felt wind blow, and I'm like, what the hell is going on? See, my senses were involved in the illusion. And so now my mind began to act as if the situation was real. So what occurred? My behavior began to change. My actions began to change. My vibration began to change. I started to change. In that moment, I was totally a different person. See, we don't need a pair of VR goggles. We have the most advanced computer known to man in between our ears, and we can make it show us images, videos, and realities more real than sometimes the world we even live in. If you begin to properly train your mind to virtualize your desired outcome, you'll tune into that frequency of the good that you desire, making that reality real. This is the name of the game, right? This is what we work on. Like, when I work with people, this is a part of what we work to do, right? We call it visualize and create. Now, I'm actually going to show you guys something too, because this is going to be cool. I actually use this. You should all be able to see this right here on my screen. I'm going to make sure I can share the sound. So I leverage technology to help me with visualizing, right? Just because I have the toughest computer here, I also leverage the computer that I'm showing this to you guys with. Take a look at this. I've made what's called a vision video. And in this vision video, all the lives you've had a massive impact on, especially your own.
You are an inspiration. You're caring.
I'm truly and forever grateful to having you in my life.
Thank you for being somebody that I am excited to see when I walk into a crowded room. I know that you are living with true intention.
Hey Marlon, it's me. It's you, the future you. It's cool to see how truthful, free, and at peace you are. I'm excited for you to see how you've become, all the lives you've had a massive impact on, and all you've achieved. Yeah, the epic fantasy factory you built, the chartered jets to the most beautiful places in the world, your dream woman, the stages, the podcast, but most importantly, all the lives you've had a massive impact on, especially your own.
You are.
So do we see when we're looking at that, right? What I do is what I've leveraged is essentially I'm priming my mind so that I'm able to sit down and I'm able to visualize and I'm able to see, right? I love it. Miriam says making her emotional. There's a reason I'm using my own voice. I'm getting my own senses involved. I'm hearing my own voice. I'm using my sight to see the images of what I want to create, helping me to be able to virtualize it, helping me to be able to step into that reality, bringing me there emotionally, because that's what I want to do. So I want to get there emotionally. When we talk about having a burning desire, that's an emotional place to be. I want you all to be incorporating that in your day-to-day. When you're looking at the things that you want to accomplish, when we're talking about those wishes going from preference to a must, a part of it is seeing it clear over and over and over. You want to think it until you can feel it. Because once you can feel yourself in possession of what you desire, it's already yours. See, the longer you can keep yourself in that feeling, regardless of what else is going on around you, the faster you can put it into your hands. So again, to maintain a burning desire, you want to be able to visualize your goal. And watch, this is going to come back later on tonight. So let's continue. Let me actually take a sip of water here. By the way, are y'all learning something? Put a 1 in the chat if you're learning something new here. Dang, that chat is moving quick. Awesome. So this next step to acquiring riches is changing your situation. It's building faith, right? This is a sensitive topic for many people. So let me start by saying this, right? Regardless of what your religion is, your denomination, right? Faith has nothing to do with religion. Religion merely aims to teach faith. Faith is a belief, and this is a definition of faith. Faith is belief or trust in something or someone without requiring proof or evidence. I would write that down. Faith is belief or trust in something or someone without requiring proof or evidence. In order to become successful, you must have faith in yourself and your plans. See, unfortunately, for many people, they dismissed faith altogether because perhaps it was a term that was only expressed in their life inside of organized religions. And there's nothing inherently wrong with organized religions at all. That's not what I'm saying. However, you may have experienced local churches or places of worship where potentially that particular group and their leader, they didn't necessarily live in alignment with their words. Or maybe their message simply wasn't in alignment with you and your life. Either way, this sometimes causes us to throw out the baby with the bathwater. Understand that the job of religion is to teach us how to cultivate faith. It's to give us the gift of faith. Because faith being a belief or trust in something or someone without requiring proof or evidence is absolutely critical. If you already have the proof and already have the evidence, it doesn't require faith, and then you're not doing anything new, right? The life that you want to live, the place that you want to get to is somewhere you haven't gone. You don't have your own experience yet. You don't have your own experiential proof. So you have to operate on faith. When I started getting into entrepreneurship, when I started getting into real estate, when I invested, a lot of people don't know this about me. When I got into real estate, a lot of people don't know I was living at home at that time with my mom. I told you guys that at the beginning. It was me, my mom, and my sister. I was earning around 20 grand a year. I had about a whopping $3,000 in my savings account as my net worth. I had one credit card with a limit to $3,000. Luckily, I was raised in like a Dave Ramsey house, so we were ultra savers. I mean, like, your boy didn't have a single penny of debt. and I owned my car, right? Because, again, no debt, so I don't want a car loan. So I owned a car, a Honda Accord that I bought for $2,000. So my grand net worth was about $8,000 in total. I came across my first mentor who had worked with Robert Kiyosaki. I signed up for a real estate education course that cost me just shy of $25,000. Like, if you guys heard, like, that's more than a year's salary for me. And that would be without paying taxes. So I signed up for this and I was scared out of my mind. Like, what the hell did I just do? Am I an idiot? Holy crap. Did I just get scammed? Like, that's all that's going through my mind. However, I realized I had to take that, you guys know, that proverbial leap of faith, right? I had to take that leap of faith. I had to trust that this process would work. I had to trust. They told me that if you jump off the cliff, listen, man, like, we're not saying you're not going to get banged up, but we are saying that your parachute will eventually open. I went, like Caroline just said, I went all in. And actually, I'm grateful. Some people ask me, I get asked all the time, do you regret it? Right? Because I've been able to learn different things now, and I've been able to find different information in different places. I always tell them the same thing. It was one of the best decisions I ever made, because even if I could have gotten that information for less, I wouldn't have paid less for it. Because every time I thought about quitting, I had 25,000 reasons not to. See, I had skin in the game. And there were days where I wanted to quit, guys. Like, I started this whole real estate journey at the beginning. What's up, Larry? I started this real estate journey at the very beginning of quarantine. So, like, the world literally shut down, and I'm like, oh, I'm an idiot. I just bought this program about how to buy real estate, and I'm calling people, and no one's selling their house. Like, the world literally, everyone's locked in their homes. Like, no one's selling anything. Oh my gosh. But I had skin in the game, and I had faith. I had faith that I would figure this out. I had faith that I was working with the right people. I had faith that the right people had come into my life. I had no proof. I had no evidence yet. I just met these people that were teaching me. But I had to have faith. So again, you want to make sure that you have faith in yourself, faith in your ability to produce results. And really, this is about creating a positive mindset and belief in ourselves. So when we're going to talk about this, we need to learn how to create a positive mindset and belief in ourselves, Tim. So again, I got 7 techniques that are going to show us how to do this. However, for the sake of time, I'm going to share 2 of them with you. And these are the 2 that I use every single day. So I'm going to give you like 2 of the most powerful ones. So the first one might surprise you, but I put it first because it's probably the most important technique of all. This is practicing gratitude. Start each day off by focusing on the things that you're grateful for. See, this can shift your minds towards positivity and appreciation. In order to begin to develop faith in yourself and in your plans, you need to be able to see yourself as accomplishing those plans. This is way more difficult if your brain is constantly looking for what can go wrong in every single situation. Yes, you want to be aware of what can go wrong, right? Everyone's hearing me say that. Like, I want to be aware of the risk. Absolutely. Because I said it before, not looking at the negative and only looking at the positive doesn't make you a positive person. It makes you ignorant. So I want to be aware of both sides. However, I don't need to keep staring at it. Instead, we want to focus. We want to actively push our attention back to how things can work out. And then we could get into alignment with that positive reality. We first need to see ourselves in harmony, and we need to be in harmony with that good. We do this through gratitude, through practicing gratitude. In fact, some of you might know this guy. There's a man, a well-known man. His name was Einstein. It's said that Einstein would actually say thank you hundreds of times throughout the day so that he can keep himself related to the power of gratitude and faith. Understand that your mind can only focus on one thing at a time. So it's either focused on the negative or it's focused on the positive aspects of life. By practicing gratitude, what you're actually doing is you're getting your mind to focus on the positive aspects of life, making it easier to believe in yourself. You're getting your mind to actually focus on abundance. Because what is gratitude? See, gratitude is being able to look at what you have and to be thankful for having it while you have it. In fact, it's one of the highest forms of wisdom. How many of us only love and appreciate things after they've been ripped away from us. You realize how much you cared about a person after they're no longer talking to you or after they're gone. You realize how much you loved that job when you no longer have it, how much you appreciated that steady check. You appreciate the car you had. You appreciate all the things after they're gone. And then you say, damn, if only I had appreciated it more when it was here. That's gratitude. More importantly, that's wisdom. Right? One of my favorite definitions of wisdom is learning how to be happy for what you have while you still have it. You can begin doing that at any time, because it's also possible to have a whole hell of a lot and still just feel like I need to go get more. I need to go get more. You're living in a scarcity place. So having and simply accumulating doesn't make your life wealthy. And we addressed that earlier. It's about having the gratitude. So do this for the next 30 days. I want you to keep a gratitude journal. And in this journal, I want you to write down 10 things that you're grateful for. I'm looking around right now for, it should be here. There we go, my backpack. My gratitude journal is never far from me. One of my most prized possessions, never far from me. So over the next 30 days, I want you to keep this gratitude journal, and you're going to write down 10 things that you're grateful for each day, starting with the words. When you start this, you're going to start with the words, I am so happy and grateful now that and you're going to fill in the blanks. Do this for the next 30 days and watch how your life begins to change. Right? Don't just take my word on this. Experiment with this in the laboratory of your life. Run this experiment for yourself and you see if gratitude's worth anything. And the craziest part is gratitude is free. It doesn't cost you a dime. And it is one of the most powerful things that you can do for yourself. So over the next 30 days, you're going to conduct this experiment, and do not allow yourself to get lazy, Jonathan. What do I mean when I say that? When you think about what you're grateful for, feel the gratitude each day. Don't just use answers that are going to impress other people. Instead, be truthful and be thoughtful and recognize what you're truly grateful to have. Feel that gratitude. In fact, as you do that, encourage others to do it with you. Right? Do this over the next 30 days. Take a photo of your journal and post it on social media. Right? Use something like hashtag 30 days of gratitude. In fact, let's do that. I'm going to do that. I'm going to be doing that. For the next 30 days, I will post my gratitude journal when I write it every morning. I'm just going to put hashtag 30 days of gratitude. And if you guys are doing that with me, tag me in your post. I've already been doing this. My notebook has already almost been filled, right? But I want to show you guys how this starts to change your situation, how it starts to change your life, how it starts to change your mind. So tag me. If you're going to be doing that, tag me you guys already know my Instagram is right there at Mindset Marlon. Tag me on Instagram, tag me in that, make it a story, make it a post, do it however you want. Encourage other people to also live with that gratitude. So now the second thing that we can do to develop, I love it. Sam and Caroline said they're in, right? The second thing we can do to develop faith and to cultivate a positive mindset and belief in ourselves is to reframe our negative self-talk. Identify negative self-talk and challenge it with positive affirmation. So instead of telling yourself, I can't do this, reframe it as I'm capable of achieving my dreams. See, here's an interesting fact. Your brain was not designed to make you happy. It was designed to keep you safe. Y'all know that, right? Your brain was a tool that was put together to help identify danger in your environment. So nowadays, it's really, really easy for you to spot why things won't work, to spot what's wrong with the situation, because that machinery inside of your head is millions of years old, and its priority is to keep you away from danger. And it does this by scaring you of the unknown. Right? So tonight, we're here talking about shifting the way you think. So do you believe that by the end of tonight's webinar, I can change the way your brain works? Like, throw a 1 in the chat if you think I can start to change the way your brain works by the end of tonight, right? Drop a 1 in the chat if you think I can change that. All right? I'm seeing some ones. Yo, look at that. Look at that. So guys, I can't do that. I'm just being honest. Like I can't, not in one night. God, you didn't hear me? I said millions of years old. That programming is in there. So we're not going to change it in this single 90-minute webinar, but we are going to start. So when you start to think about starting your business and you're starting to think about putting out a new proposal, or you're getting ready to ask that girl out or to have that uncomfortable conversation with your partner, your brain's going to begin to do a threat analysis, and it's going to search through all of the files in your head, and it's going to be looking for a file. It's looking for a recording of the last time that you did this particular activity that you're getting ready to do. So in this case, you want to start your first business. And now your brain's looking for the recording of the last time you started that business, Kevin. Big problem here. You've never started the business before. So what file comes up for your supercomputer? It's an error message, right? A blank file, results unknown. Let me translate the way your brain interprets this message. Instead of you getting a nice friendly reminder that we've never done this before and we aren't sure how it's going to work out, your brain registers an error message on a black screen. On the theater of your mind, a black screen comes up. So what does that black screen mean? It's game over. It's death. That's how your brain is translating this. When it gets an error message, when 404 error, that's funny, right? That it's saying that that's death. So since your brain doesn't want you to die, it does the next most logical thing. It scares you away from making that decision or taking that action that creates the black screen result. So this is where we start to get those internal voices that start to tell you, don't do it. You can't make it happen. Turn back. All of this is your brain working on keeping you safe. I want my brain keeping me safe. So I welcome those voices, right? So it's great advice when I'm in the jungle and I'm walking up on a mother bear and her cubs. I'm not one of those people that's like, hey, let me get closer. I actively stop and I back away. I watch the rest of the people pull out their phones while I'm like 40 feet already back, just knowing that I simply need to outrun those idiots. So I back off. So it's terrible advice, however, when my brain starts feeding me that stuff when I'm trying to start my business, when I'm trying to create financial freedom, when I'm trying to get into better shape, when I want to ask out that girl, right? So you've got to hear that voice and you need to actively reframe the message into one that is positive. So here's how we're actually going to use the negative self-talk to our advantage. Instead of trying to ignore it and pretend that it's not happening, I want you to listen to it. In fact, I actually want you to write down what it's saying to you, because now it's giving us source material, because we're going to start to turn those messages positive. So instead of just ignoring it, we're going to take it in, we're going to switch it, we're going to reframe it. And if your internal voice is saying things like you're a loser, you're going to write it down and you're going to reframe it, and you're physically going to say, I'm a winner. If your internal voice is saying you don't deserve to be rich, you're going to use your physical voice to say, wealth and riches are my birthright. See, whatever negative self-talk comes your way, reverse it with the opposite. This will help you start to build out a list of affirmations and to rewire your mind. Now, here's a bonus tip. Earlier, we were talking about virtualization. See, the reason your brain keeps feeding you a black screen is because you haven't had the experience yet. Fair enough. You already know this. Some of you are like, duh. And because you haven't had the experiences, you don't have memories of those experiences yet. Again, you guys are like, Marlon, we know this. If you begin to virtualize what you want, and you begin to save those virtualizations, or you save those visualizations as memories for your brain, because what did we say? The brain can't tell the difference between what's real and what is vividly imagined. You can begin to save those visualizations as memories. You can place them into the part of your mind where you store memories. So now when you begin to ask your brain, what will happen if you move forward with attempting to achieve this goal? What will occur if I start to take action on this? What starts to happen? Your mind is going to pull up those memories and it will begin to feed. This is what's going to happen. Now it's going to start giving you the green light. Guys, it's no accident that I accomplish. It's no accident that I achieve. It's no accident that I get the things I want. I expect to get the things I want. I don't get surprised when I win. Because you just saw it. I just showed you guys a video that I literally made to myself. Like I made a video of my future self talking to me. So I'm planting it as a memory in my own mind. See, some people like don't believe in like hypnotism. You're being hypnotized all day long, 24/7. The only issue is someone else is doing the brainwashing. Someone else is doing the programming. What if you did your own programming? What if you programmed your mind? Then what? What would you program yourself to do? Who would you program yourself to be? Say this with me. I am healthy, wealthy, and wise. Every day, in every way, I am getting better and better. Money flows to me easily, frequently, abundantly, and in ever-increasing amounts from expected and unexpected places. Just so y'all know, I can literally hear Daryl like screaming that outside in the backyard right now. That's who I was listening to. So hopefully you said those and you said those out loud. And if you had people around you and you're like, ooh, I'm a little nervous about saying this, and you're kind of like whispering it. Guys, I've been in the airport and I've said these affirmations out loud in the airport. I've said these affirmations in an elevator full of people. And what's funny is I watch them smile and I watch them want to say the words with me, and I watch them too scared of being judged to say it. And I'm just like, wow. Here it is, like that we have the ability to be whatever we want, and we're nervous and we're scared of what other people think of us. Right? We let our own negative voices talk us down, and then we let the imaginary negative voices of other people talk us down as well. Say those affirmations to yourself throughout the day. Say them in the morning when you wake up. Say them at night before you go to bed. All right. So affirmations are going to perfectly lead us into this next section, which is auto-suggestion. So some of you might be wondering, what is auto-suggestion? Right? You might not have ever heard that term. I know I never heard the term until it was taught to me by my first mentor. It's an extremely powerful, pretty simple, yet often misunderstood term. Autosuggestion is using the power of positive affirmation and self-talk to reprogram your subconscious mind. Let me get a poll, right? By a show of hands, or put a 1 in the chat. How many of you already speak daily affirmations to yourself? Positive daily affirmation. All right, so I see some of you, right? Put a 1 in the chat if you're already hitting it, if you do daily affirmations. All right, awesome. So some of you are doing this every day. I love it. Tim said, boom, every day, let's go. All right, awesome. So by another show of hands, how many of you have already begun to see some positive benefits of using daily affirmations in your life? Like put a 1 in the chat if you've seen some positive affirmations from it. Like I know I've absolutely seen positive affirmations from it. Beautiful. So some of you have already seen the benefits of this in your life and in your situation. See, Napoleon Hill discovered through his research that a person's success is directly related to the ideas that are held not just in their mind, but in the subconscious part of their mind. To get a better understanding of how the subconscious mind works, you should all go and watch later. I have a mindset cheat codes masterclass that I have. Like all my students have access to it. I'm thinking because Sam's in here and Sam's always like giving stuff away, I'm probably going to give that to you guys like tonight, because that's something that I sell for around $1,200. And I think I'm just going to like drop that to you guys, because if I don't, Sam's going to like kick me in the butt, because he's always just, Sam is, by the way, shout out to Sam Singh. Sam Singh's inside the chat right now, and he is just, I freaking love Sam. So you guys got lucky that Sam's on here, because I want you to understand that the way your mind works, it's predominantly subconscious, right? That you produce 95% of your results, that they come from your subconscious mind. Like when I first learned this, I was like, no freaking way. Like you're messing with me. Like that cannot be true, right? It can't be true. But think about it. How many of you have thought about things, right? You're like, you've learned the law of attraction. You heard about manifestation. You heard about this kind of stuff. And like, Marlon, I've been thinking about like, I want to make $1 million. But it hasn't happened yet. Marlon, I think about, I want to be healthy, but it hasn't happened. I want to make a deal, right? You think about these things, but it hasn't happened yet. Well, what's occurring is it hasn't gotten to the part of your mind where it can actually do the work. It's still hanging out in the upper area. It's hanging out in the conscious region. See, your conscious mind can entertain thoughts without necessarily having to act on it. So it doesn't have to express it. This is why you can be driving down the road and you can, we call it staring into the abyss. You can, for a split second, see yourself like just turning the steering wheel and driving off the side of the road, but you don't actually act on it. Or you can be sitting there and maybe someone gets you mad and in your mind for a split second, you see yourself punching them in the face, but you don't actually do it, Samantha. Actually, Samantha, you look kind of mean. Maybe you do it, right? But when it gets into your subconscious mind, it has to express itself. This is why when something happened to you when you were younger, maybe you had a childhood trauma and something got lodged into the subconscious mind. Although you logically know it shouldn't bother you anymore, it still does. It still triggers you. Because once an idea has made its way to your subconscious mind, it has no choice. It must express itself. It doesn't act, it's no longer an option. The option is when you're holding it in the conscious part of your mind. If you continue to impress something upon the subconscious mind, eventually it will make its way through, and this is where the work gets done. So write this down. You will never outperform your self-image. You will never outperform your self-image. Your self-image lives in your subconscious mind. The key here is to realize that our self-image creates the results. Our outer world is a reflection of our inner world. And we shouldn't waste time fighting that. It's like trying to fight gravity by punching up into the air. All we're going to do is we're just going to make ourselves tired and we're going to look silly. Instead, we should begin to relate ourselves to this law of nature that our outer world is a reflection of the inner world and recognize that we're allowed to change the inner world. All right, let me check something for a second action. I'm going to check. Put a 1 in the chat. Put a 1 in the chat if you know who Sasha Fierce is. Drop a 1 in the chat if you know who Sasha Fierce is. All right, so I see like 5 1s. All right, so like there's like 6 1s. All right. All right, how about this? Let's try this one. Put a 2 in the chat if you know who Beyonce is. All right, so put a 2 in the chat if you know who Beyonce is. Put a 1 in the chat if you know who Sasha Fierce is. All right, so I definitely see way more 2s than I do see 1s. So for all the people who put a 2, but you didn't put a 1, I've got a surprise for you. Sasha Fierce is Beyonce. Beyonce is Sasha Fierce. I feel like some of you just found out that like your Uncle Sal used to be your Aunt Sally. All right, so watch this. Beyonce created her alter ego, Sasha Fierce, as an effort to separate her own shy personality from her stage persona. And this gave her the courage to be free and sexy while performing on stage. So thank you, Sasha Fierce. So where's your ego, right? Because Sasha Fierce essentially was an alter ego that she created. Where's your ego? Is it on the outside or is it on the inside? You know, Daryl has one part of the beehive. So Beyonce changed her inner world so that now we get to see the woman we see now. Now we get to see that stage performer, that world performer, because her inner world changed first, which then changed the outer world. So you can do the same. In fact, you're already doing it. Many of you are already doing this. The only issue is instead of building a character that plays big to win, you've built a character that stays small to not lose. Guess what? Playing the game of life to not lose is losing. So let's learn how to play the game to win. So there are 6 techniques that are used for auto-suggestion to do it successfully. And again, like, guys, due to time constraints, I'll be sharing with you 2 of the most immediate ones because we're already at, holy moly, we're already at 90 minutes. How many of you are mad at me right now that we're at 90 minutes and I'm not done? right? Like I really thought I was going to be able to stay at 90 minutes. Like I was doing my best of like pulling stuff out of the presentation to make it less time. I truly thought like I'm probably like 30 minutes behind right now. I talk way too much. So Larry says he's happy he got here late. So guys, I'm going to be going a little bit longer. If you had a hard stop, I do apologize. I don't want to mess with your time. I started a little bit late to try and give people time to get inside here. So I'm going to keep going. But if you've got to jump out at any time, don't worry. Like what I will do is you're still going to get access to the mindset cheat codes. Like I'll email it over to you guys. If you guys came in through the Calendly link, I have your emails. If you didn't come in, if someone just like sent you this link, then they just love you. But if you're like tuned in on like YouTube, I don't have your email. So, just send me a DM on Instagram if you're watching this on YouTube, and I will figure out a way to get that over to you. But I'm going to keep going right now. So there are six techniques, right? We're going to talk about two. Right, two of the most immediate ones that I use for really leveraging auto suggestion successfully, because there's the right way. I don't want to say that there's a wrong way to do this, but there are faster ways to do it. And I care about condensing timeframes. Like when I hire mentors, right, and I like go and I get education, well, my goal is I want to find someone who's been doing this for 10, 20, 30, 40 years. And I want them to take what they learned in decades and condense it into days and weeks and months and teach me in a shorter period of time. So I don't need to go through the same length of time, but I can get the experience and the knowledge. So the first thing that we do is using, and get this, positive language. So when we're making sure that our auto suggestion is working for us, and we're wanting to change our financial and our personal situation, is first we got to start by using positive language. Make the suggestions that you give to yourself positive and affirming. Use words that evoke positive emotions and are in line with your goals and aspirations. Now, some of you are like, Marlon, that was the secret. Like, I already knew that. Like Gabrielle's like, bro, like I knew this already. However, what's common sense isn't always common practice. For example, when you ask most people to describe their dream partner, what do they start doing? Or their dream job? They start doing this. They start describing all the things they don't want. I don't want a person without a job. I don't want a person who doesn't have a car. I don't want to be a teacher, right? They're using negative language, which evokes negative emotion. Instead, simply describe and speak about what you do want. It's such a subtle difference. Sometimes we don't even know we're doing this. So let it be things that get you excited. Use powerful, positive adjectives that stir up your emotions. Because which one sounds more fun? I don't want to be broke, or I want some of that Dave Chappelle, I'm rich, bitch money. Right? Like, the key is affirming with words that are fun and strong and positive to you. So do me a favor. Turn to the person beside you, give them a high five and say, I'm rich. Let's go. I'm rich. Let's go. So it's about having fun. Like, I love it. Like, I got to see Fred up there and like you guys giving each other high fives. Like, it really, use words that evoke emotion out of you. Let it be fun for you. Let it be enjoyable for you. It should be exciting talking about your goals. It should be exciting talking about your dreams. Now, the second thing is for auto suggestion to work. By the way, let me actually segue back for 2 seconds. When we're talking about getting information from our conscious mind into our subconscious mind, recognize that we want to almost like, think of it like there's a wall, there's a barrier. And I want to get the information, the good thoughts from up here that I entertain. Like, I want to be a millionaire. I want to be rich. I want to be healthy. I want to be this. I want to be that. Financial freedom, all of it. I want to get it into the subconscious part because I know when it gets here, it has to act itself out. It has to go to work. It doesn't get a choice anymore, right? It's now just running on autopilot. I put the system in I've got the bug in the computer. It's got to run. The way we get it through this barrier, because this barrier is here to protect us, because imagine we acted on every single thought that came to our head. Oh my gosh, Mackenzie, it'd be a nightmare. If we acted on every thought that came to our head, it would be a nightmare. So we've got to Trojan horse our thoughts in. Right? If you guys know about like Troy, you know the Trojan horse and like how they snuck the warriors behind the enemy's line. And so at nighttime, they were able to come out of the horse and go do what they had to do. The way we Trojan horse our thoughts into our subconscious mind is through emotions. See, emotions are able to permeate this membrane. This is, again, why traumatic experiences get logged so quickly. See, I didn't say positive emotions. I just said emotions. The more emotion you can put to something, the more you can actually, the easier it's going to be for it to pass through the membrane. So what occurs is when we start to invoke this good feeling, when we start to invoke this positive emotion along with the idea of what we want, we pass it through the subconscious easier. That's why the words we use should excite us. Don't worry about coming off politically correct to your neighbor. Who cares what they think? It's not their life, it's yours. Now, obviously, don't walk around being a jerk to people. However, make sure that your life and your words are getting you excited. These are your affirmations. So the second thing here is going to be repeat your affirmations regularly. Repeat the affirmations or positive statements regularly and ideally at the same time each day. Right? Napoleon Hill suggested I do it first thing in the morning when I wake up and before going to bed. So when do you think I do it? I literally I have it memorized, but I still have it written down on a piece of paper. Like I have a gold paper right here that stays with me by my side all times. So this helps to reinforce that message and it makes it easier for it to be remembered. And it's also making it easier for it to press into the subconscious mind. Right? It's like I just keep dripping water. Imagine you just keep dripping water on something. Eventually it starts to seep through. Write this down. Repetition is the mother of mastery. Repetition is the mother of mastery. Some of you have already caught on to the fact that I repeat things. I'm repeating it because I want you to learn it. I'm repeating it because I want it to stick for you. So I'm saying it over and over. I'm saying some of the same things from a different way because this information is important. This information has changed my life. So I don't know why we think that sometimes we can just do something once and we become masters. How many of you think you could sign up for a weekend workshop to learn Spanish and at the end of the 3 days be speaking it fluently? So why the hell do we think that we could do the same thing with our other habits and behaviors, with our fitness? Like, why do we all do this? Every guy and every girl has done this. We go to the gym, we do some sit-ups, and then we're staring in the mirror. Like, is it here yet? Like, is my six-pack here yet? We all do it. Right? Like, we want it instantly. But the truth is, real wealth takes time. I know I had you say that before, but I'm going to have you say it again. Like, say it with me. Like, real wealth takes time. So it takes time to create change. And what we want to do is we want to ensure that with the time we're taking, we're doing the right sort of work so that it's time well spent. This is why for any of you that end up moving forward and doing coaching with me, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be working on establishing KPIs. KPIs stand for key performance indicators. We'll be tracking your behaviors and activities because what gets measured gets improved. So when you begin tracking your KPIs, and we track it with, I call them like our millionaire mindset metrics, right? That's what I like to call them. When you move forward with coaching and you're tracking your custom KPIs to ensure that you're doing needle moving activities, you're going to start to see that things are going to change. See, I think it's one of the most important things that we need to do as entrepreneurs. Really, I think it's one of the most important things that we need to do as people on this planet is we need to start to live our lives and run our lives like a business. What do I mean by that? You wouldn't run a business and not be tracking what's coming in and what's going out. Yet many times we run our lives that way, right? We have money coming in and we have expenses going out. So that car that we bought, the house that we own, the friends that we spend time with, those are all the business of our life. We need to start to treat our life like we do a business. And that means we need to be keeping score. So for those of you that end up working with me, you're going to see exactly what I mean when I say keeping score, because we create KPIs and we do what are called time, attention, and financial audits. So just understand when you start keeping score, your life will change exponentially. So what's important here is that we just understand that we will be keeping score and we're going to be repeating our affirmations to keep us locked in and to work on reprogramming our minds. So let's review what we learned so far. We learned that success is, and hopefully you're saying this out loud, success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. So if a man is working towards a predetermined goal and he knows where he's going, that man is a success. If he is not doing that, he is a failure. We learned that you must have a burning desire for success if you are ever to accomplish anything of note, and that in order to maintain a burning desire, we must clearly know what we want, and we need to visualize it as already being ours. We learned that faith is belief or trust in something or someone without requiring proof or evidence. And in order to cultivate faith, we must practice gratitude and cultivate a positive mindset. And we just went over autosuggestion, which is using the power of affirmations and self-talk to reprogram your subconscious mind. So y'all are hopefully starting to see how this blends into itself, how one thing leads to the next and how they build. So now we're going to move over to something that many of us are already familiar with, Ebony, and this is gathering specialized knowledge. See, specialized knowledge is very important, and this is funny enough, when you talk to the average person, Miriam, this is where most people start their journey. Now, we're like 90 minutes into tonight's presentation, and I haven't talked about this yet for a reason. Specialized knowledge does not come first. It comes after you first establish a clear goal. It comes after you establish faith in yourself to create it and to make it happen. You made that inner environment with the positive self-talk. Right? Put another way, specialized knowledge is, this is the how. Right? So before you look for your how, you need to establish the what, the why, and the who. And just in case you're wondering who is the who, you're the who. Right? Like Tim, you are the who, at least the version of you that you create for the mission. Right? Like the version of you that you create for the future, that's the who. Real, like think about that, like you're creating the character. Acquiring specialized knowledge is going to be really important. So with that being said, the value of acquiring specialized knowledge in your field has several benefits, like improved performance, competitive advantage, higher earning potential, increased confidence in your ability to adapt. And I'm going to explain like all of these. So specialized knowledge enables you to perform better in your field. In fact, there we go. We're going to come back to this actually. So specialized knowledge enables you to perform better in your field. Right? If you have a deeper understanding of the subject matter that you're an expert in, you can apply it more effectively, which leads to improved results and outcomes. So instead of being a jack of all trades, you become a master. Put very simply, for example, if you were to have open heart surgery, would you prefer to have a general practitioner or a cardiac surgeon who openly and only performs that particular surgery that you require? All right, I don't know about you guys, but the choice is obvious to me. I want the surgeon. I want that person who is an expert at what we do. So of course you're going to take the surgeon, because that's a person who understands their craft to the smallest detail. Now, if you're looking to become an entrepreneur, as you look at becoming the best version of yourself, you need to know your business. You need to understand your business down to those fine details. You must acquire specialized knowledge in your field, regardless of what they may be. Now, here's something interesting to consider. You don't always need to be the one who possesses the specialized knowledge if you know where to buy it. I'll say that again. You don't need to be the one who possesses the specialized knowledge if you know where to buy it. So take the open heart surgery, for example. You don't need to go to medical school for the next 12 years to get the open heart surgery. You can simply hire the guy who went to school for 12 years. Write this down. It pays to know where to purchase knowledge. Actually, I would even say this, write this down. It pays to know how to purchase knowledge. Yeah, at this point, the knowledge is everywhere. So really understanding how to purchase it. So guys, I can't teach you all about specialized, like I can't teach you, every last one of you, all the specialized knowledge that you all need for your businesses, because quite frankly, I probably don't know, right? Because there's probably a lot of different people with a lot of different businesses that you want to run. But what I can do is I can show you how to identify and acquire the knowledge that you need in a very basic process, right? This is like a framework. And here's the coolest part, Tim. The framework was already taught to you in school. So this is going to be a bit of review. So it's going to be 6 steps right here. I got to give you all 6 steps here. I can't like leave one of the steps out on this one. Like you need to know the 6 ones. So the 6 steps here is going to be 1, determine your goals. Right. When we're talking about acquiring specialized knowledge, it's really frustrating when I'm working with people that they're trying to learn, but they don't have a goal. They're studying, right? When people study, when people tell me they're going to go study, I ask them, what are you studying for? And they're like, what do you mean? Yeah, what are you studying for? Right? You're studying towards an end. What is that end? You need to be clear on that end. You need to know what you're studying for. So you need to determine your goal, and you start by identifying the goal and the knowledge that's necessary to achieve them. This is going to help you focus your efforts and avoid wasting time on information that is not relevant. How many of you have ever caught yourself going down YouTube rabbit holes, Reddit rabbit holes? Maybe you get on too many Zooms in a particular mentorship that have nothing to do with your actual business model. And now you're learning about 40 other strategies that you really don't need, right? And it's not serving us. Right? If I'm in school to be a chemist, I shouldn't be also studying, just other silly subjects. I can't even think of because my brain is so focused. It's like I'm going to do everything chemistry involved. Get the knowledge that you actually need, and you're able to do that by first determining your goal. So that's 1. 1 is determine your goal. 2 is research. You have to conduct research to identify the knowledge and skills required to achieve your goals. So this may involve reading books, articles, and other resources, attending seminars, workshops, being on webinars, speaking with experts in your field. See, I'm going to pause here for a second because research is not a lazy person's sport. Understand that starting research is the equivalent of when you used to go down those Wikipedia rabbit holes and you would end up going from one hyperlink in one tab to the next, to the next, to the next. And before you know it, you're reading about a spite house, which is a real thing. You should look it up. Actually, it's kind of interesting. But when you start going down these rabbit holes for research, this is how you start to discover new things, right? Answers come to those who are seeking. But first, because you can go infinite with these rabbit holes, you got to know when you've arrived. Right? Imagine I just said drive west. You could spend the rest of your life just going west. But Fred, if I said go west until you get to Indianapolis, then you know when to stop. You know when you've arrived. We need to know when we've arrived. So we determine our goals, then we begin to research. So then from there, we create a plan. We create a learning plan. A lot of people never make a plan for their learning. I come from the world of real estate. A lot of people want to get better at talking to sellers. I've done sales trainings for over 1,000 people. They want to get better at their sales, but they never create a plan for it. They don't create a schedule for it. Imagine I said, I want to get stronger. I want to get in shape to run a marathon. The next logical question might be, Marlon, what's your plan to do that? Oh, I would put together a workout plan for my goal. I'm going to also want to learn about something. I'm going to put together a plan. This is where we start to treat our specialized knowledge almost like going to college again. So based on your research, create a learning plan that outlines the specific knowledge and skills you need to acquire along the timeline for when you are going to plan to do that. Utilizing resources is number 4. So the 4th piece is utilizing resources. Utilize resources that can help you acquire the knowledge you need. That might be the internet, that might include mentorship, that might include coaches, it might include professional association, it might include networking events. You're not an island all on your own. Right? Like I see like Dustin Reyna just popped in here, right? Like if I wanted to learn more about systems and I wanted to learn more about processes in my business, I would leverage my resource, which is my network. My network has Dustin in it. I would reach out to Dustin and I would start talking to him. Like, hey, how can I use AI in my new business, right? I would go and talk to someone who already has gathered the information. Number 5 is going to be taking action. Take action to acquire the knowledge you need. So this may involve dedicating time each day or each week to learning, practicing new skills, or seeking feedback from other people. Don't just talk about it, do it. You already know that. And then number 6, this is the forgotten piece. And this is the part that we start to throw out maybe because we're jaded from school, but it's really beneficial when it comes to specialized knowledge is evaluate your progress. Because I said it earlier, what gets measured improves. Who's the dude that's the biggest guy in the gym, right? When you show up to the gym, everyone has this guy at the gym. He comes in like this. He's carrying like a 1-gallon jug of water, and he's got one of these, right? And his arms are usually like this, and he's got like way more lats than I do, right? That dude in this is the most important piece for him, because inside here, it's his evaluation of how he's been performing. He's able to open it up and say, oh, you know what? Last week I did this. The week before I did this. The week before. So he can incrementally win. He can incrementally improve 1% better every day. So remember, acquiring knowledge is going to be a lifelong process. And there's always going to be something new to learn. So don't get comfortable, because the minute you get comfortable, you're sliding down that mountain. So you guys are coming from different places. And right now, some of you are older. Some of you are younger. Really, we're all spring chickens. Some of us have just seen more springs than others. All right. But jokes aside, you've spent years gathering specialized knowledge, and now some of that knowledge might be obsolete. So understand that's the nature of specialized knowledge. It changes with time. This is why Dustin's teaching people about AI, right? The way the businesses were working last year and 2 years ago, totally different. So you will always be gathering knowledge. There's only a few fundamental topics of specialized knowledge that pass the test of time, right? There's a few fundamentals that never get old. And these are topics that you should learn as a child or even as an early adult, but unfortunately, they usually just don't get taught. And I want to pass that on to you guys tonight, if that's cool with you, right? Because you're here and you're taking action and you're showing up, and you made a plan to be here, to improve, to work on your mindset. You said like, hey, this is Mindset Hacks 2.0. So you decided to be here. So write this down. Learn everything you can about sales and persuasion. I don't care what business you think you're in. I don't care what business you actually are in. I don't care what business you want to be in. You need to learn everything that you can about sales and persuasion. Your life will improve to the degree that you can properly relate yourself to other people and sell them. And when I say sell them, I'm not talking about simply just selling them products. I'm talking about selling them on ideas. I'm talking about selling them on friendship, right? Like every time, some of you right now, some of you are like, real quick, actually, let me take a poll. Put a 1 in the chat. How many of you are actually already in sales? Put a 1 if you're in sales, put a 2 in the chat if you're not in sales. How many of you are in sales already? So I see some 1s, I see 3 1s, 4 1s. Put a 2 in if you're not in sales, a 1 if you are in sales. 1.5, I love that. I see a 2, big old 1. I love it, Sam. Right? I see some 2s. All right, so some of you are in sales, some of you aren't in sales. I'm going to ask this question again, and this time I want full participation, because here's the truth. You are all in sales. Every last one of you, because what are you always selling? The minute you open your mouth, you're selling people on yourself, right? You want to make friends, right? Some of you are married. Some of you are in a relationship. Yeah, you had to sell something to get into that relationship. In fact, some of you are still trying to close that deal. All right. So we're all in sales. The only difference is some of us know it. So we want to understand everything that we can about sales and persuasion. And the good Lord gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth. I suggest that we use it in that ratio, because if we do, if we listen more than we speak, we'll be amazed at what we can learn from each other. Every time I sell, the question I ask, it's not about how much money can I make. The question I ask is, will this make their life better? If the answer is yes, then I have a responsibility to have them take the next step with me. The same way when I got into real estate, they didn't just give me that information, they sold me. But because they sold me, they gave me information that was going to make my life better. They asked me to commit. They asked me to make a decision. So recognize that. You need to understand that's specialized knowledge that will never get old. Understand sales and persuasion. The second topic that you should gain specialized knowledge on is you. That's a subject that will never go old. You need to learn more about this. In fact, write this down. Learn to work harder on yourself than you do on your job. Learn to work harder on yourself than you do on your job. Understand that you are the goose that lays the golden egg. So as you learn to understand that the better you become, the more capable that you become, that your stock that you're investing in, that's forever increasing, that as you increase that as you spend time, money, effort, and energy on improving yourself, everything else around you will begin to improve. Now, in the cases where the specialized knowledge you're seeking doesn't yet exist, that happens, right? There are times where the knowledge and the information, for example, some of you might be like me and you want to figure out teleportation, but the knowledge doesn't exist. We don't know how to do it yet. There we have to begin to harness the power of our imagination. And this is going to be the last bit that we talk about tonight. So if you guys can hang out for 15, 20 more minutes, and then we're going to open it up into Q&A. You know, we're going to talk about the most powerful piece. In fact, Einstein felt like this was the most powerful thing that humans had access to. It was their imagination. There are 2 forms of imagination. There's synthetic imagination and there's creative imagination. Both are useful, and we're going to explore how to apply each of them. So let's start off with synthetic imagination. So synthetic imagination involves the rearrangement of existing ideas and concepts into new combinations. Think about this. Think it's like, think a stylist going into your closet and making new wardrobes with the clothes that are already in there. Right? That's synthetic imagination. It's using things that are already there and it's mustering it into a new combination that maybe hasn't been seen yet. So you work with the known material and you're just mixing it together in new ways. This is the most common form of imagination. And this imagination is like a muscle. And like any other muscle, the more you work it, the stronger it becomes. So the next time you're trying to come up with a creative idea or a creative solution, try this. Brainstorm all of the potential solutions, regardless of how silly they are. Don't judge the ideas, just simply capture them, right? Get a whiteboard, like what we'll do when we're doing like our end of the year recap and we're mapping out what we want to do for the next year. We literally go into a room that has a massive whiteboard and we just start writing everything, right? Dumb ideas, good ideas, like we just throw it all on the board. So we capture all the ideas. And on the board, we begin to combine them in random orders. And we just start to see what the combinations create. So not only may you surprise yourself with new solutions and new ideas that you hadn't considered, you'll also be working out the part of your mind that most people keep dormant. Most people think so linear. The challenge with thinking like that is you're never going to create anything new. And we already understand from specialized knowledge that all that exists will eventually become obsolete. So we have to be able to be creative. We have to be able to get in front. We need to be able to guide the ship. So this sort of thinking is lateral thinking, and it encourages creative problem solving. It's lateral. It's combining all parts of the mind. It's combining thoughts that are normally kept separate. You're combining them. And the cool part about this is the more you practice doing this, the easier it becomes. Your mind will instantly start to, like, how many of you have that friend that could just like come up with solutions right away? Like when people sit down, it's funny. Like when I'm working with like my clients, they'll ask me questions and like, I just like spit out solutions to them. And they're like, how did you figure that out so quickly? And it's like, guys, it's a muscle. Like there's nothing special about this. It's a muscle. You can do it too if you work out the muscle. It's like, I don't go into the gym and say, man, how's that guy benching 300 pounds? Clearly, he's been showing up and working out. So the next form of imagination is creative imagination. And it's a more rare form of imagination. And this is the realm of genius. So this is where you see the Elon Musk of the world, right? The Teslas, the Einsteins, they're the Walt Disneys. Like these are very, very interesting people. The type of imagination involves the formation of entirely new ideas and concepts that have not yet previously been imagined. So it's often used in artistic and creative endeavors, and it's also essential for innovation and entrepreneurship. Some famous people that you know who have used a lot of creative imagination to achieve success: Walt Disney, Thomas Edison, Steve Jobs, J.K. Rowling, and like I said before, Albert Einstein. Right. The cool thing is we all have access to this creative imagination as well. But like this is when you think of genius, when you think of people, genius is not an IQ test. If that were the case, ChatGPT would be like the perfect thing. Genius is not the IQ test. There are plenty of people who have a high IQ who produce nothing. Genius is being able to solve your problems. Genius is being able to create solutions. Genius is understanding how to get what you want without breaking harmony with the rest of the world. So Napoleon Hill referred to the place where creative ideas come from as infinite intelligence. Actually, even looking at the image that's on the screen, right? Like we see this like this person, right? Like this almost like energy being person. And we see like something about this person seems like they have access to everything around them, right? Like it's infinite. So how do we get access to this sort of infinite intelligence that Napoleon Hill talks about? This place where genius comes from, this place where your intuition comes from, right? Well, there are 5 steps to accessing this intelligence. So write these down. The first one is cultivate a receptive mindset. And guys, we are almost there. I'm loving this. So step 1 is going to be cultivating a receptive mindset. To access infinite intelligence, you need to be open to new ideas and inspiration. This means letting go of preconceived notions and biases, being willing to consider unconventional and unexpected solutions. You have to be willing to temporarily let go of everything that you think you know. See, oftentimes the biggest thing holding us back is the things that we know to be true that aren't. I gotta be honest, men like Kevin, Tim, Fred, Larry, we struggle with this more than the ladies. Like, especially when we're young. How many of you have had the experience of talking to like young boys and young men and you're telling them something and what's their response? What's the first thing that comes out of their mouth? Oh, I know. Yeah, I know that. Yeah, I know. So if you knew, why'd you mess it up? So what you're telling me is you did it wrong on purpose. What you're telling me is you look like a dumbass on purpose. No, you didn't know, and it's okay. Right? In fact, the more we can get comfortable with saying, I don't know, the better. So now the second way that we can start to get access to this infinite intelligence. So the first one is just being open to receiving new information, being open to saying, I don't actually know yet, but I'm open to learning. The second way is practicing meditation. This is something that sometimes we think we don't have enough time to practice meditation. One of my really good friends, she said this to me, Renee, she said something so wise. She said, if you don't have time to meditate, and if you don't have time to think about your why, right? If you can't find 30 minutes to meditate and you can't find 30 minutes to think about your why, then you need to find an hour. You need to find an hour to do that. We've got to learn to get out of our own way. So meditation can help quiet your mind, and it helps to enhance your ability to focus. See, regular meditation can also help you access that deeper level of consciousness where you're going to be more receptive to insight and inspiration. Earlier, I mentioned one of my housemates, AJ, who is now in process of becoming the largest wholesaler in the US in less than 6 months. And I didn't mention this. Every morning, because he's lived with me, every morning for the last couple of months, he's woken up around 5 a.m. to sit and meditate. Sometimes he would do meditation. He would be sitting there for 2 hours. And what was he doing? He was sitting and he was visualizing and he was asking for answers to problems that he was going through. This doesn't mean that you sit around all day and meditate. Please do not just sit on the couch all day and just try to manifest from the couch without doing any work. Instead, use meditation along with your work to manifest things faster, to create solutions faster. Step 3, engage your imagination. So we discussed this earlier. Your imagination is a powerful tool, Scott. It's a powerful tool for accessing infinite intelligence. Spend time visualizing your goals and dream and use your imagination to explore different scenarios and solutions, right? In other words, put it in a very simple way. Role play the life you want in your mind. Become an actor for a bit. Play it out. Like actually play it out. Would any of you say, put a 1 in the chat, and I'm not saying this to brag, but put a 1 in the chat. Does it feel like I'm comfortable talking to people? How many of you would say I feel decently comfortable speaking to people and like just articulating myself? Would it surprise you to know that I was a very quiet person growing up, that I didn't like talking in front of people? I didn't like talking to people. However, what I do is I actually, and Caroline and Daryl have seen me do this, I will actually give speeches in my room. Right, I'll give speeches to an audience of 1,000 people, but there's no one here. It's in my mind. It's in my imagination. I engage my imagination and I will wait. I'll close my eyes and I'll wait until I can feel and see 1,000 people in an audience, and I can feel my heart rate like starting to, like, oh shoot, it's like, ooh, it's my turn to get up on stage right now. So I engage my imagination just like an actor. I did the same thing with sales calls when I was calling on homeowners for real estate. I did the same thing with parkour as an athlete. This is how I became a professional athlete in a very short period of time. There's so much power to this part. Like if I can't get you to understand that you need to engage your imagination, that you need to play with visualization, pretend to be an actor and act out your life. Act it out. You don't need to do it for anyone else either. You can do it in the comfort of your own home. Do it in the shower. Do it in the bathroom. Do it while you're on the toilet, right? The toilet is your porcelain throne. No one's allowed to interrupt you on the toilet. You can do whatever you want in there. So step 4 is going to be seeking out inspiration. See, inspiration can come from many sources, including books, art, music, nature. Make time to engage with the sources that inspire you and allow yourself to be moved by whatever you encounter. I used to struggle with this. I used to almost be embarrassed to admit that something was affecting me emotionally, that it was inspiring me, that I was being moved by it. Allow yourself to be moved. If you feel good, allow yourself to feel good. If you feel inspired, allow yourself to be inspired. I'm giving you permission, right? You have to be looking for an answer in order to find one. And that's when you're going to start to encounter them. And finally, trust your intuition. Your intuition is a powerful, powerful tool for accessing infinite intelligence. Learn to trust your gut instincts. And there's so much here with this last one. I can literally open this one up for 3 hours. But hear me out when I say trust your intuition. Learn to trust your instincts. You have to be willing to take risk and to follow your intuition, even if it goes against conventional wisdom. Did you hear me? I said, even if your instincts and your intuition go against conventional wisdom, You must be willing to do it. Trust that inner voice. It's so crazy to me that we put more trust in the outer world than we do in our own internal world, especially after tonight of me telling you that your internal world creates your outer world. This is probably the most important aspect of all, right? If you are fortunate enough to have gut feelings and to hear your intuition, you need to listen to it regardless of circumstance. Your intuition is never wrong. Write that down. Your intuition is never wrong. You can learn to listen to your intuition, or you can learn to be haunted by it. Haunted by not listening to it. The choice is yours. So earlier I said you want to learn to study yourself more than you study any other topic, and this is why. Conventional wisdom is like a broken clock. It'll be right at least twice a day. But the passage of time will make what was right yesterday wrong tomorrow. Your feelings, if you learn to properly listen and translate what they're saying to you, they are never wrong. And some of you are thinking, well, like Marlon, what about that time I had feeling that I should have taken the job and, but the company went under a few months later? I'm telling you, your intuition is never wrong. Your intuition is the part of you that's connected to infinite intelligence. Saying your intuition's wrong is like saying that God is wrong or that the universe makes mistakes. Don't make the mistake of mistaking temporary defeat and temporary troubles as permanent failure. It's not the case. It is trust me when I say your intuition is working on a longer time horizon, and it's always working for your benefit. So let's start to wrap this up, and let's start to jump into the Q&A for those of you that do have questions. Some of you have already sent me some private messages that I just didn't get a chance to read because the chat was moving too quickly. So I'm excited about that. And these are going to be things that when we go through the Q&A, you're going to start to see things that you can focus on. And, again, we want to focus on success, and we want to focus on what is success. Like if I asked you guys, what is success? Everyone should have the same answer now. Success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. If a man or a woman is working towards a predetermined goal and they know where they're going, that man or a woman is a success. If they are not, then they are a failure. So I said earlier tonight, by the way, that I had something to sell you, and I'm very proud of that fact. Oftentimes when I speak to people, they tell me, like, Marlon, I have an issue and I know all this stuff already, right? I have one of these courses, or I'm in a mastermind, or I bought this tool and I put marketing out, but I'm not producing results, right? Like I'm doing the thing and I'm not producing the results, right? And some of you might relate to that. Like you feel like I'm sending the text messages, I'm making the phone calls. I've been doing this for weeks and months, but it's not happening. And when I sit with them, within 2 minutes, I can usually solve their problem, because 9 out of 10 times it's a mindset issue. Not always. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it legitimately is like, oh, no, you're just being a knucklehead. Let's change this in your business and go on, right? But more specifically, it's a self-image issue. Because I said it earlier, and I'm going to say it again, you will never outperform your self-image. The challenge is sometimes, someone comes along in our life and they show us a better way of living, right? So they show us this better way, like this ideal way of living. And so now you've got this goal or desire to be up here, right? Like my first mentor did this to me. Like he showed me this better way of financial freedom, to be able to travel and do the things I want and live how I want and hang out with the people I want to live with. But our self-image is still down here, right? Our self-image is still down here. So until these two things are on the same frequency, we will not achieve sustainable results. What I do is I work with people to change their self-image through high-performance coaching. Just like Napoleon Hill discovered their specific fundamentals to success, I learned that there are specific habits that all high performers have. So I work with entrepreneurs to install those high-performer habits into their selves, into their beliefs, so that they can create a new self-image. Because when you change the self-image, what do, Tim? You change the results. So let me be clear, this is not an overnight process. We work together through the course of 12 weeks. And I only work with people that are interested in transforming their lives and people that have already started to gain a little bit of traction in what they want to do. Not someone who is still figuring things out and still like actively trying a little bit of everything. Like you're not ready for this yet if you're still actively trying a little bit of everything. But for the people that are like, no, I know what I want to do. I want to improve. I want to get to that next stage. Awesome. Because I'm going to be starting up my next small group. My first small group is finishing right now in the next 2 weeks. I'm going to be starting up my next small group, and I'm going to be working with 20 people that are going to be a good fit for this program. And we're going to be creating your KPIs, and we're going to be doing those detailed time audits, the money audits, and the attention audits, learning new habits and ultimately understanding more about yourself than you've ever learned before. Now, there is a cost to this program, and the cost, there's going to be money involved, but the money is going to be the least amount of your cost, right? So the cost from the training program, it's normally $8,000. Tonight, it's my first webinar ever. This is my first webinar ever, by the way, guys. Like, this is the first time I ever hosted a webinar. So tonight, for those first 20 people, it's going to be just $5,000. But that's going to be the money cost. What I'm looking from a more important is going to be a time, energy, attention, and effort cost. Because I know the process works. I'm a product of the process. The thing that is the wild card in the situation, it's you, right? You're the wild card. So for those of you that end up moving forward with the coaching, like I said, also, you're going to get actually all of you, because Sam's in here tonight, you're all getting the Mindset Cheat Codes Masterclass. Like that's just going to be sent out to all of you guys tonight. But you're also going to have access to my MMC community as well. And you're going to have access to all the previous high performance coaching calls that I've done with my groups and with my one-on-ones. You guys are going to get access to all of that stuff in the past. But as a coach, my main job, it's not just to give you information. Like you don't need more information. What it is I provide support and accountability, right? So if you're someone like me where it's easier for you to let yourself down, but it's really hard for you to disappoint other people and to let other people down, and you know that you show up, like you're the person that shows up to the gym when you have a workout buddy versus when you don't, then you and I need to have a conversation. So let me say this now. You don't need me to create change in your life. You don't. I'm a coach, which means I provide support. But everything that I spoke about here tonight, everything that I showed you, you're more than capable of doing it on your own. I'm just the person that makes it tough for you to let yourself down, especially because if you're like me, when you have skin in the game, you perform, right? Like I told you guys when I got started with real estate, I had 25,000 reasons not to stop. So if you know that you want to try, if you know you want to transform your life, drop a 1 in the chat, right? Like, and when you put a 1 in the chat, some of you might be thinking like, does that mean I'm signing up? Like, no, like, let me phrase it like this. If you know you want to transform your life, you know that you want to do it, whether you do it with me or you wouldn't do it with someone else. And maybe you're not quite sure how you're going to do it yet. Put a 1 in the chat if you just know that you want to create a better life. Awesome. I love seeing that. So some of you are ready to take care of transforming things in your life. And this is what I'm going to do, because I'm going to open this up to a Q&A, because that's my favorite part of all of this. I want to jump into the Q&A. I'm going to drop a link inside here in the chat. If you're interested in talking to me about coaching, what you're going to be able to do, just like that Calendly link that you used to get on here, you're going to schedule a discovery call. Tim, during that discovery call, what it's going to look like is you're going to be having a conversation with me. We're going to have a one-on-one conversation about you, your situation, where you're trying to go, and what you want to do. Because ultimately, I want to see that this would be a good fit for you. I want to find out. I don't know if high performance coaching with me is going to be a good fit for you, or quite honestly, if you're going to be a good fit to work with me. There are people that I turn away because we're not a good energetic fit, because the way I communicate doesn't work with them. And I've had people that have said to me, like, I want to sign up. And I'm just like, listen, I've had the pleasure of working with over 1,000 people. I've coached over 1,000 people between real estate, between parkour, between mindset. And I know already that not everybody is the right person for me. And I'm not the right person for everybody. That's why I do discovery calls. So I'm not going to twist your arm during that call. You'll be able to come. You'll be able to ask your questions. Some of you will not be ready to do coaching with me. I'm going to tell you that right now. So if I say no to some of you, don't be upset. Some of you will not be ready. However, if we have a conversation, what I could do is I can point you in the right direction of maybe what you should be doing now to then get to that point later on. So I would say if you're interested, use the link that I'm about to drop in the chat. And get your questions answered. If you have questions, get your questions answered, because if you don't get your questions answered, all I can say is shame on you. So I'm going to drop that inside here for you guys right now. I probably should have had this already ready, right? My link, right, Sam? And then we're going to jump into some Q&A. Daryl's over here sending me private messages. So as we get ready to jump into this Q&A, actually, one thing, I got a quick riddle for you guys. How many people do we have inside the room right now? Let's see. So we got about 27 people inside the room right now. So 27 people inside the room. We're going to put it like this, actually, because this is a fun riddle I heard. We got 25 frogs sitting on a log. 25 frogs sitting on a log. 23 frogs decide to jump. How many frogs are sitting on the log? Put your answer in the chat. Sam, so that. All right, so 25 frogs sitting on the log, 23 frogs decide to jump. How many frogs are sitting on the log? I love it. Fred says 25. Caroline says 25. Ebony says 25. Why is the answer 25? Caroline, I'm going to unmute you. Why is the answer 25? I can't unmute Caroline. Oh, there she is. All right, Caroline, why is the answer 25?
Because you told us 25 were sitting on the log.
Well, you got the right answer, but that's not the right why. Gabrielle got it.
What did she said? The riddle was, did they? Oh, they didn't take action?
They never actually jumped. Guys, if you want to change your life and you want to change your situation, you can't just decide. You need to take action. So if you have questions, use that link. Set up a time. Let's have a conversation. Take action. So now with that, I want to open this up to some Q&A. So let me stop sharing here. So if you guys have questions, do me a favor, raise your hand. I'm going to bring you up and I want to hear what your questions are, and let's jump into it. Yo, Caroline, what's going on?
Yo, Marlon, thanks for taking my call while I'm walking my dog. I was wondering, if I sign up for your coaching, do I get unlimited access to you? Can I text you and call you in the middle of the day?
Good question. So the answer to that is you will get access to me. You'll be able to you'll have my phone number. You'll be able to call me and we will set up things. Usually what I'll tell people is give me a 24-hour heads up and then we will actually schedule out a time to get on a call. If it's an emergency though, I do always make time for my clients and for my students. And here's why I do 20 people and the groups aren't unlimited. It's because I just understand bandwidth. Right. I still have businesses that I run. So I understand bandwidth of being able to be available for my students. And that's why it's not 200 people and it's only 20 people.
Okay, that makes sense. My next question, because sometimes I struggle coming up with KPIs and knowing how to time audit. Will you help me sit down and come up with my KPIs? Because I don't even know what I want to measure.
So 100%. That's actually something we were working on last night with the group. So what I do is we sit down and we actually identify your KPIs based off of, first we start with clarity. So we're not going to start off with KPIs. So someone's like, hey, we're just going to instantly, like my analytical people, like, what's the KPIs? What's the KPIs? First, we need to get a sense of what it is you want to create. So first we get a sense of clarity. We start off with clarity. From there, we start to dissect. And now we start to create custom KPIs based off of your goals, based off of where you want to be. Because where Kevin wants to be is going to be different than where Fred wants to be versus where Sam wants to be. So we'll put your KPIs together with, and then along with that, what I'm going to be doing is you guys are also going to be doing a time, attention, and financial audit to understand throughout each week from a very numerical standpoint, where is your time, attention, and money going?
Ooh, okay. And you'll help me do that time audit the first few times and answer questions on that?
100%. So the name of the game here is to change your habits, because your habits affect your behavior and your behavior changes your self-image, right? Your behavior creates your beliefs and your beliefs create your self-image. So we work from changing the habits to ultimately change the belief. I'm like, when you remember, Caroline, when you were like a little kid and your mom would be like, if you're anything like me, your mom would be like, she'd call from upstairs, like, brush your teeth. And it's like, it's Saturday night and I'm sitting down watching TV and I'm watching cartoons. And I'm like, dang it, like, I don't want to get up and go brush my teeth. So I'm like, all right, yeah, I'll go do it. 20 minutes later, she like calls out to me again. And she's like, did you do it? Did you brush your teeth? And I'm like, yeah, I did it. Then what does she say? She says, come up here, let me smell your breath. And I'm like, oh, crap. I just got caught. Right? What I do is essentially, I'm like your mom in that sense. Because after I get caught and my mom realized I didn't brush my teeth, what does she got to do now? She takes me into the bathroom. She's standing over my shoulder and she's making me brush my teeth right then and there. So she did this often enough that now I'm 29 years old. I wake up, I brush my teeth in the morning. My mom is nowhere to be found, right? It's just a part of what I do. That's the name of the game here, is we want to get it to a place where you no longer spend conscious energy doing it. I'm the mom that stands over your shoulder those first couple of times. I should probably start saying dad, by the way, but it was my mom.
No, I get what you mean. Okay, that helps me out a ton. So, Marlon, I mean, gosh, I really kind of want to pull the trigger since you said that you're doing a special since we're the first ones in on this webinar. It's your first webinar. I'm just, what if we aren't a good fit for each other? I know I like you. I know that we're friends and stuff, but what if we aren't a good fit for each other? And I'm nervous. Do you do like a money back guarantee?
Yeah, great question, actually. So that's huge for me. So earlier, you guys heard me say I love selling because I understand sales is service. You get paid for bringing value to people. You get paid for producing results in people's life. If a person's working with me and they say to me, Marlon, this isn't working out. Like I thought you were going to be a good fit. I'm not quite getting the value, like I will give you 100% a refund. Because ultimately, here's the truth. I have clients that are now act as a testimony for me, right? Because they're the results that they produce. If I'm working with a person and I can't produce results, I don't necessarily want them going out and saying that they worked with me. Right? It doesn't, my business doesn't grow. I don't benefit by not producing results to people. So if I can't serve a person, if I can't help them, I'm going to allow them to move to the next person. Now, with that being said, I do expect a person that when they show up, though, when we start working together, I said, I know this process works. The only thing that I need to have you promise to bring to me, because it's a two-way street, is the effort. And that's something that I can't make you do. So if a person can bring their effort, I'll take care of everything else.
Easy enough. As long as I have faith in you and I go all in and I believe in myself, I probably shouldn't have any issue with this. You're just going to give me the right roadmap to be successful.
100%. So that's what it is. It's a roadmap, right? It's like some of you follow me on social media and you saw that I recently ran a marathon. I didn't just roll out of bed one day and decide to run a marathon. I had a roadmap. I had a coach. I had someone that programmed me, and Coach Andrew Linder, shout out to Andrew, programmed me over the course of 15 weeks. I just had to show up and execute on the plan. Right? Success is a roadmap. This is why Andrew Carnegie, what did Andrew Carnegie, the wealthiest man that ever lived in America, he said, I believe anyone else can achieve this if they simply learn to follow the plan, if they simply learn to relate themselves to the rules. So Napoleon Hill literally put together a manuscript. I studied that stuff. My life is a living testament of it. I'm living in a 4,700 square foot mansion right now because of it. It's insane.
Dude, you're getting me hyped up. Okay, last question, because I like to gamify things. Okay, so if I sign up, and you said there's accountability group calls?
Yep.
Okay, if I attend every accountability group call, if I hit all of my KPIs, I know that I'm signing up and I'm paying for you as a coach. Is there a possibility that I can hang out with you for one day and we can go do something dope if I hit all of my goals?
Dude, I love that. That's funny, man. Caroline, you're trying to get me in trouble. So I I would say yes. I would say that's that's what happened. Actually, that actually happened with Josie and Matt. Josie and Matt came through. They actually flew out here from New Jersey. They came out to Arizona, and we spent the day together. And it was really cool, like, because they get to see that, here's the coolest thing. I'm aware of that tonight when I said stuff to you guys, a lot of you didn't necessarily hear anything brand new tonight, right? Some of you did. Some of this was the first time you've ever heard this, and some of you have heard this before. However, tonight I saw a lot of it clicked. The reason it clicked tonight, and I'm very aware of this, is because who it was being delivered by. See, I'm aware that I have the ability to influence people and influence them to take action. The reason being is influence comes from becoming a person that takes their own advice, becoming a person that lives by the words they speak. Therefore, when I speak certain words, the words that I'm in harmony with, they carry a different weight. This is why some of you, if you got investment information from the homeless dude under the bridge, you're probably not going to take it. But Alina, if Warren Buffett walked in and he gave you this exact same advice, you're probably more likely to take it because he lives with the words. He takes his own medicine. This is what allows you to become more influential. So I'm aware that I have the unfair advantage of being able to get people to take action that they otherwise might not take. I'm aware of that.
Okay. Well, all I'm asking, sorry, go ahead.
Yep, Caroline.
All I was going to say is if I show up for myself, I had all the KPIs to do I don't miss an accountability group call and I show growth. I just want to hang out with you for a day. I want to go like rock climbing or I want to go hiking. I just want the opportunity to hang out with you.
Game.
Possibility.
You hit all
right.
KPIs.
That's all I got. Perfect. That was my last question. Thank you, Marlon.
Love it, Caroline. All right, cool. So does anyone else have any questions about what we went over tonight? Any questions about anything? Because if we don't have any questions, we're going to start to wrap this up because I already took way more than 90 minutes from you guys. I did not anticipate this going for 2.5 hours. I see the handsome Sam Singh. What's going on, Sam? I think I asked it on, but there we go.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. What's up, Sam? What's up, bro?
How you doing, brother?
Doing pretty good.
Uh,
Well, the beard is looking fresh on you.
it's you know what? I don't know how long we're gonna keep it. I gotta be on stage next week, so I don't know. We'll figure it out. But real quick, I've worked with you, right? And ever since I worked with you, I started making a crap ton more money. And there's something that I looked back at it and I was thinking about. This is what a lot of people should be asking themselves. Working with you, honest to God, is uncomfortable because you force growth, right? You force introspection. You force us to think about things very intentionally and clearly. You asked this question earlier. You were like, what happens when you ask someone what their goals are and they don't know? Like, I didn't know either. When I first met you, I had no idea how to articulate my goals. They were not clear whatsoever. So from right now, let's say like Ebony wants to get on the coaching and she wants to do some amazing things. But from right now to like, let's just say, a couple of weeks, like next week or 2 weeks or whenever it starts, what can we do to like properly prep ourselves for that transition? Because working with you in and of itself is a massive transition period. And it's a massive period of unlocking. How do we prep to like really take advantage of that the right way?
Oh, such a good question. So when I bring on new clients and I bring on new coaching clients, essentially what happens is you're all going to get onboarded. Now, the way the onboarding works is you're going to be going through a couple of personality tests that I have you take so that you can better understand yourself. You can better understand the default nature that you're already working with. Think of this like discovering what character you already have been playing in this video game. So we can now start to work in nature with that character. Along with that, and you guys are going to be getting access to this tonight. You're going to be watching through the masterclass that I put together, which is going to start to teach you more and start to prime your mind to be open to changing your subconscious. With this as well, I'm going to be giving you some guiding questions that will help you start to identify things in your life that need to actually be removed. Sometimes the reason that you're not having clarity on what it is that you want is because there's too many distractions. See, I had a really good buddy of ours, David Meltzer. He was on your podcast, Sam. He came onto my podcast as well. And we were at dinner up in Peoria. And David said something so profound. He said he had given me the book. Actually, funny enough, I have the book right here, Connected to Goodness. And he said, hey, Marlon, look at the title of the book. Notice that it doesn't say connect to goodness. It says connected to goodness. The goodness you desire, the goodness that you already want, it's yours already. The problem is, right now, you've got a lot of clutter in the way. So what we're going to be doing in preparation is we're going to start removing some of the clutter. We're going to start to remove that clutter so that we can be reminded of the blank canvas. And if you still feel like, oh man, Marlon, like I might not be ready, I might not know and have that clarity yet, we're going to be starting off with clarity. We start off with clarity. That first week is all about clarity. So that now with the rest of the weeks, we can do some real damage. We can do some real work. And I always make this promise to people. In fact, it got me into a little bit of trouble last night. I tell them when we're on these calls, I'm the last person on the calls. So when we're doing these coaching calls, I'm the last person on the call. That means you're not getting off until your questions are answered. I'm not getting off until your questions are answered. So if you're still confused, last night I was working with one of my coaching clients and we went for an additional 2 hours until she started to have a clear sense of what she needed. And then I said, are you sure? Are you clear? Yep. Awesome. I can go to bed now. So I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, dude. It's one of those things that I know I struggled with and you helped me out a lot with is being able to, I love what you said, man. Distractions. When I first came to you, I had way too many distractions, and I like the word that you used earlier. I had way too many influences, and I was allowing too many things to influence what I was thinking, what I was feeling, what I was doing. And then the reality is that I subconsciously let them influence my thought processes. Mm-hmm. And then once you helped me define that was happening, it became that much easier for me to remove them and then have a blank slate to work with. But I just remember that was such an uncomfortable thing because no one had done that in life. No one had forced me to do that in life. And I can't wait to see what happens because everyone who comes through it is going to have to go through it. And it's a little bit disruptive. It's a little bit scary. But what ends up happening is if you do that, you get that blank slate, then you're building a proper foundation and mindset to be able to freaking conquer mountains. So, dude, this is amazing. I'm just really glad that you're doing it again. The fact that you're doing it again is that I think you would have, because to your point, you stay on forever. You probably stay on too much and you probably overstay. But I'm just amazed that you're doing it, man. It's amazing.
I definitely do. Over deliver, but it's, it was taught to me again. I'm following a blueprint and I'm very transparent about that, guys. This was a system that was taught to me on how to create the things I want. And a part of that was learning to give more. Right. So my challenge, my aim is to always outgive. If someone comes on as a client and they give me money, I'm going to outgive you. I'm going to give you more value than you gave me. Period.
Dude, amazing. Thank you, brother.
Appreciate you, bro. Yo, Larry, what's going on? That is such a fire background, Larry.
Hey, what's going on? Yeah, I like that, huh?
Oh man, I love it.
Direct to agent art. I'm looking at Sam smiling over there. My question was, I'm grateful that I made it here to hear that. I wrote a lot of the notes, but you said you were going to put something in the chat or something. What was I caught when I first got here? You were going to share something with everybody.
Yep. So I'm going to be sharing. So everyone that signed up tonight that came in through the Calendly link, and that you guys shared your email, I'm going to be sending you all the mindset cheat codes masterclass that I filmed. So that's something that normally sells around $1,200. You guys are just getting that tonight because Sam's here, and I absolutely love Sam. And he always encourages me to give more.
I didn't do that. I clicked on the Zoom link that Sam shared in our Discord, because when I tried doing the Calendly, it wasn't giving me a time to pick. So
Got you. Okay, you might have showed up late. So do this, Larry. Send me a DM me later with your email address, and I'll make sure that you get that as well.
okay, you want me DM on Instagram or where?
Yeah, DM me on Instagram.
Okay, got you. Thank you, brother. Appreciate it. And I'm
course.
grateful. I'm so happy and grateful for mindset, Marlon. This is what I needed, because I've been struggling with my mindset for the last couple of weeks, but things are coming together.
Bro, I
This is
love
gonna
it. Listen, no one's here on accident, right? Like everyone is here because part of your vibration, a part of you is looking for the answer, and that's why you showed up, right? You know, earlier tonight I said, learn to trust your instincts and learn to trust your intuition. Your intuition will lead you places that your mind, that your regular brain, that your regular knowledge might not get you there. So I love it, bro.
Thank you. I'm grateful, brother. God bless you.
God bless you, Larry. All right. So if we don't have any final questions, we're going to start to wrap this up tonight. And I want to first off to say thank you all for being here from the absolute bottom of my heart. This was my very first webinar. I am beyond grateful that you came through, that you supported, that you were throwing it down, holding it down in the chat. So seriously, thank you all so much. And do me a favor, if you got value tonight, screenshot yourself being here and tag me on social media. Like, let me know if this was valuable to you. Let me know how I can provide more value, and be on the lookout for your emails. You guys are going to be all getting access to the Mindset Cheat Codes Masterclass. So want to say I love you guys and enjoy the rest of your night. Cheese and for you, Larry. I love that.